Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's all right. Just here. And we'll have this a little bigger. And we are live. So, here we go. Everything seems okay here and there. Should be all right. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave show for the Wednesday edition, although it's Thursday UTC for a lot of people. But it's Wednesday night in North America, and this is where we talk about radio. Well, night. 7 p.m. is like 4 p.m. in the West Coast, so it's like late afternoon over there. Nice to have all of you here, as usual. I have my FT450 here on the loop, so of course it's not on transmit, as long as I don't want to blow up something from my loop or my antenna splitter or whatever. So anyways, nice to have you, multi-coupler. Nice to have you on board, everybody. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about ham radio today, what it is, and the steps that I've taken to become one after almost 40 years of listening. Anyways, we'll talk about it. I want to talk about something else also that I've received, and I think it's worth talking about this book, the 2022 ARRL Handbook for Radio Communications. And I'll talk about it in several different ways, because this is not just for ham radio operators. You know, it might be published by the ARRL, which is the American Radio Relay League. It is also a reference for a lot more than just radio amateurs. It could be really, really come in handy to even the casual electronics tinkerer that just wants to play around with electronics and learn a little more. This book is pretty cool for that. And we're going to talk about it a little later. And so, if my name is Gilles, I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America, and we talk about radio. And if it's really noisy, it's because they are actually removing the snow on the ground tonight on the streets. So there's this army of little trucks that are actually removing the snow from our first snowstorm of the year, which was half snow, half rain, but still, there was maybe half a feet of snow before the rain kicked in and made it a slushy, wet snow. Then it came to -10 the next morning, and it was blocks of ice on the streets pretty much. Everybody was caught in there. I could see a couple of people that weren't actually used to seeing that type of weather, kind of being stuck and not knowing what to do with their cars yesterday, the day before. Anyways, temperature right now here is -9 Celsius. So we're like at, I don't know, we're in the lower 20s, if not in the upper teens. It's supposed to be about -12 tonight. So, it's cold. Winter. It's not the coldest winter we could get, but it's it's winter setting in, and I hope that everybody's all right. I've got a little bit of Christmas decorations here on the window, so that it looks a little festive also at the same time. And anyways, I need to put, once again, that flag will be higher up coming the weekend. And so it's nice to have everybody on board. And there's a chat room, which is a wonderful place with amazing people that are just there to help and have a great time together. And that is, of course, all you need to have is a Gmail account. If you do, and you actually follow my show, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to interact with that chat room that you see on your screen. When this ends, of course, a lot of you might be a little, kind of in a withdrawal syndrome of radio listening and sharing radio with people. Well, we got a Facebook group for that. That will help you continue to party and share what you're listening to and so on. And I hope that everybody is going to have fun. This is the basics of this place. Have fun with radio and do what you can with radio. And there's some interesting stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Also, one particular, there's someone that's kind of going crazy a little bit with AM radio overload. And I had a little bit of experience with that also, with a lower power but very close station a few years ago. So anyways, we're going to talk about all of that. And I'm going to talk about my ham license. I'm going to give my impressions of the course, personal opinions that I think are valid, even though I know it's, it's not always easy. We're not going to go through the big discussions we had in the past. But it's my 2 cents worth of what I think of the ham radio course, and also passing the ham radio course, what ham radio is all about. And this will, of course, come from Victor Echo to Zulu Zulu India. That is my call sign. And we're going to talk also about the choice of my call sign. Because you have to choose from what's available, and it ain't always easy, and you're wondering what. You go to the obvious of what you're going to choose, and you go to the obvious of what's out there, but of course, nothing that is obvious is available. So, of course, SWL is not available on any VA or VE or VA2. Then there you go. There, I tried to, the 3 first letters of my name, stuff like that. Nothing's available. Then you start looking through and going through and going through, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. And I went through the list, and I went actually completely down and said, okay, what's the last thing available in alphabetical order? And I started looking at the Zulu one, and I was like, you know what? On the air, Zulu Zulu India kind of makes it out. It's like everybody's like, Golf Tango Lima or whatever. It's like Zulu Zulu India. Sounds good. I like it. And so that's why I chose that one. Because I thought, in a situation where I got to send my call out, I think my call is going to be like, that guy's going to come back and say, Zulu Zulu again. Because nobody else is going to be in that range. And so hopefully my choice. But I got a few comments of people saying, you know what? That call isn't bad, actually. And even my examiner, I sent him a little email saying thank you, and told him, about an hour after we had passed the exam, I told him, I said, well, Series 3 from, VE2ZZI. And he's like, wow, you know what? That call sign is actually good. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's my personal, think. But I thought it sounded nice, So anyways, I am a fully, like what they call here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it alone and I'll have a question. I'll have a question for our ham radio, because we have people from around the world. We have a lot of guys from the US here, and we have a lot of Canadians, but we have people from the UK and so on. I'll have a ham radio question for you hams out there, depending on the country where you are, that we're going to ask a little later, because I'm a little curious, because each country is a little different on the way it is. So anyways, let's start with saying hello to everybody, so I don't be 3 hours behind in the chat room. And of course, I've got my vodka, cranberry juice. Cheers, everyone. VE2FGJ, nice to have you here from Quebec. Randall Klontz, nice to have you here from Northeast Illinois. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Randall. Hope that you're having a great day, my friend. Gary, 24 fan, nice to have you here. And by the way, it reminds me of a story of a few years back of a YouTube video. And the mom that had sang happy birthday to her child, and the YouTube video been taken down because apparently happy birthday was copyrighted by some company or something. And she went nuts. She was like, this is crazy. Happy birthday. I mean, everybody sings it everywhere. What the hell's that? So anyways, so if I got taken down is because I sang happy birthday. The most innocent thing that you can drink, that you can think of. Dwayne, nice to have you on board from Northeast Tennessee. He's got his ICOM ICR 70. What the hell happened here? Somebody just parked his car where they're actually removing snow. So this is kind of interesting. Okay. Christian Marcus, salut, bonsoir. Nice to have you on board from North Bay, Ontario. The Blind Picker, W0RAB in Connecticut. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. We have David, KJ4CMY from damp Central Georgia. MDK2, nice to have you here. Matt from Denver, Colorado. Been getting ready for my daughter's birthday tomorrow. Finished the Christmas decorations. Got the chimney cleaned so we can have a fire when it snows Friday. That sounds very Christmassy. Christmas decorations, a fire in the chimney and snow outside is, I think, the best representation of what Christmas and holiday season is all about, and the beautiful moments we can have. These are things we remember. I just realized as I'm saying the phrase, it sounds like a Christmas song. Things that we remember through our lives, but it is. I mean, Christmas. What keeps me in the spirit of Christmas personally is the souvenirs of Christmas from my past and my mom and great moments that I've had in the holiday season. And we're here today, and it's the children's. You guys that have children that will those children will grow up with whatever you put positive about the holiday season in there. So if you do it, nice, and you do it well, and you do it like really a beautiful Christmas for their childhood, they're going to grow up and be part of. Christmas is nice and it reminds me of amazing moments. Chris, Golf 7, Victor Echo, Oscar. Nice to have you on board. Says good evening, Jill the Ham and Paul the Cat. That sounds dangerous, actually. Jill the Ham with Paul the Cat doesn't sound right. TVDXer, salut, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Paul, nice to have you on board from Southwest Michigan. Keegan, X80Xer, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. Brent, nice to have you on board from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. And I want to thank you so much. He's the guy that put me in contact with a online examiner. And I mean, the guy was great and really, really cool. The examiner was Victor Echo 9 Charlie Bravo. And I mean, a cool guy. The guy looked at my YouTube channel, and first thing he said when I passed my exam is, with all the experience and all of the knowledge that you have, I think you have amazing things to offer to amateur radio. So I think there will be. Now, that next step is the setup. How am I going to set up? I'm thinking of anyways, we're going to talk about that a little later, but I'm thinking of some kind of quick temporary setup, even though it's not going to be a DX setup. If I can just at least do some HF contacts a little bit, guys going to be happy. Al, nice to have you on board. We have RJDA Dakota. Nice to have you on board from Winsville, Missouri. Chilly evening, and he's WA0113SWL. And of course, I could sign in and say that I'm Victor Echo 2, Zulu Zulu India. We have. Let me just check it out here. Let's have here Paul VT Radio, AA1SU from Northern Vermont, 25 Fahrenheit in Essex Junction. Can you reach the where is that one located? There's one of the repeaters from Northern Vermont that I get here in Montreal. I'm just curious if we could, not tonight, but maybe do a little 2-meter contact through the repeater somehow. Anyways, VT Radio, Paul, nice to have you here. Brad, nice to have you on board. And 5LUL, WA5192 is WL. WF7I Ombru, nice to have you on board. And he's calling me. Congrats, see you on the bands and enjoy ham radio. I will absolutely do. And this is cool. So Hal was thinking about getting the Texan PL330 as a travel radio, but the Texan PL880 looks too good for another 90 US. Not sure what to do. If you can fetch that 90 US more, do get the 880 rather than the 330. That would be my recommendation for great audio and the radio that doesn't mute and a radio that is top notch. When I talk about the Texan PL990X, the 880 is like very close to it. And usually what I say is you have an 880, you don't need to go to 990. And you'll have a great radio. Both are great, but the 880 will give you better audio and no muting and tuning. Jeff King, nice to have you on board from Jacksonville, Florida. 70 degrees today. We have Joe Tyson from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. G-Man, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan, K8WNF. Metalunar, not exactly shortwave, but recently late at night near New Haven, Connecticut. I was able to hear 11:10 a.m. out of North Carolina, about 600 miles away. How was that even possible? We're going to talk about that. Actually, medium wave, a lot of people don't know that medium wave has shortwave-like properties at night. Two things that there are actually a few things that favor receiving unusual stations on medium wave. The first, of course, is being at night when skywave propagation comes alive on the medium wave band. Then you have the second option, which is depending on the propagation, some stations will come in from one area better than others at time. An example here in Montreal, 1010. On 1010, usually I hear CFRB Toronto, but not always. Sometimes the dominant station is WINS from the US. And it depends on the propagation. And third, remember that if you're using a portable radio, for example, it's very directional. You can often get more than one station on one frequency. So you can easily get up to 1,000 miles away on medium wave, easily. Here, a couple of, 2 winters ago, I actually was tuning around a medium wave band and caught Radio Rebelde Cuba. in the 600 kilohertz range. I don't remember the exact frequency, but it was like 630 or 640 kilohertz. And it was like, wow, I'm getting Cuba up here in Montreal. Pretty amazing when you think about it. So continue tuning around. You'll be amazed at what you can get. And tonight I'm going to talk about something also that is in a little lower range, but still medium wave. And the NAVTEX stations I've been receiving on the 480 to 520 kilohertz range of medium wave. Vince, salut, j'espère que tu vas bien. Toujours un plaisir. Vince is plagued with something that is actually not fun. He lives very close to a powerful station, which is the 730 kilohertz new traffic news station. And that is a 50,000 watt station. And I can tell you, 50,000 watts, when you live just a few kilometers, is going to blast your radios real good. My experience with a station like that is when they opened up the Haitian station here in Montreal for the IET community. That station, when it first went on the air, was extremely close to me. They actually had put a 1 kilowatt loop antenna, 1 kilowatt transmitter with a loop, AM loop transmitting antenna on a building that is, I don't know, in straight line, I'd say about 3 kilometers away. And that antenna, even though it's just 1 kilowatt, but the fact that it's 3 kilometers away is very close. Even my ICOM ICR 8500 was having a hard time on some frequencies. They were on 1610. I could hear the harmonics on 1610. I could hear another harmonic. Well, the main station on 1610, but I could hear the harmonic on 3220. And I could hear the harmonic on, 4830 and so on. I heard like several harmonics. I was so close. And even on some frequencies, some of my portables, there was a breakthrough because it was so powerful here. And I was actually very happy when they moved. And apparently they moved because one of the problems was there was a lot of complaints from the people that lived around that area. And for those that live like Vince and so on, those that know a little bit of Montreal, it was on Jarry Street, just the other side of the street of Addison Electronic. They were there on the there's an Asian market, KimFat, and the antenna was on top of that building, and they were there for maybe 2-3 years. And one of the reasons they moved was twofold. First, they wanted to have more power, but they had to move at some point because they were getting complaints about overloading on a lot of frequencies. And so they decided to move to a transmitter on the south shore of Montreal. Funny thing is, the Haitian community in Montreal is roughly the majority of them are roughly not very far from here on the north side of the city, from where I live. And that coverage probably was really good when they were there. But since they moved to Saint Constant transmitter site, it's like very crappy. It's like at night it's almost impossible to listen to sometimes because of the stations from the US that actually propagate in here. So I can tell you one thing. If I had a problem with a 1 kilowatt AM station 3 kilometers away, a 50 kilowatt powerhouse maybe twice the distance from you is a killer signal on AM. And man, those radios are being battered by that signal, that's for sure. I noticed you posted that at some times it was worse than others. Maybe they're changing their pattern. AM stations And a lot of people don't know that, but AM stations have a different day and night pattern. And the reason they do that is because to avoid interference. So if the daytime pattern is one side where they're broadcasting towards an area, they might have to change that pattern towards another area because they will be interfering with some other station if they don't do so. So what's happening is if you think at night there's less of a problem, it might be because they have a pattern change. They're broadcasting more away from where you live, so you have less of that signal. But in the daytime, that signal is blasting you more because that's where it's broadcasting to. And this is a lot of stations. That's why those people that like to DX medium wave, the AM band, one of the things that you often want to do is try to get stations when they are at the terminator um, at that time when they are going to switch off. Pass from day to night or night to day, because they are going to have that moment where they're going to switch pattern. And so if you're listening into a station and you want to try to get them, look at their local time when it is, and are you still able to receive them when they are actually getting into the daytime or nighttime? That moment, a little bit like shortwave, when we talk about the gray line DXing. Gray line is one of those very peculiar moments where it doesn't last that long. It could last, half an hour, 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour if you're lucky. But it is that zone where when your station and the other station are in that moment where it's the terminator, which is the moment where the sun sets or rises, depending where you're trying to tune, signals are increased and you can DX and have amazing reception. And if you're a ham radio operator, do look at gray line propagation. It can really definitely help you DX stations you never thought of easily, because at that time it's pretty amazing. So on medium wave, it's a little bit like the same thing, but most of the time it won't be that you're in the gray line. The station you're listening to might be, like it might be daytime coming, but you're still in nighttime between that AM station and your location. But if you can receive them when they switch to that new pattern, and this is what a lot of AMDXers do actually, they wait for the station to be switching to that daytime pattern. Another thing that happens at that time is that a lot of stations are, more powerful in the daytime than in the nighttime. Once again, to avoid interference. So you could have a 50 kilowatt station that has to go to 10 kilowatts or 5 kilowatts at night. And you're thinking, well, I'm never going to hear it. They're only 5 kilowatts at night. But if you have that path of darkness, at that time when actually the sun rises at that location, you might actually be getting that station for a brief moment, because they might have at sunrise that moment where they set that 50 kilowatt station back on the air because daytime now. And so that little moment is when you can actually DX. So it's one of those fascinating little things. And, there's a lot of knowledge to be had, and there's a lot of things to do. And of course, when you're stuck with a very powerful AM station not far from you, the only thing that you can do is get some, filter that will actually remove the medium wave broadcast band from the reception of your radios, especially when you're that close. I mean, I feel for you. I know 50 kilowatts a few kilometers away would probably kill my radios here. That's for sure. I already have a hard time with FM breakthrough here, so imagine. Tristan, nice to have you on board from a chilly good night from Newfoundland. Brad, nice to have you on board. Says congratulations on your ham taken. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Rufus, nice to have you on board from Laurentian Valley, Ontario, -10 with snow. We had a little bit of snow. It seems stopped right now, but we had a little bit of light snow all day today. Thank you, Keegan, for the congratulations. Bobby Burgess, thank you for the congratulations. Fast load, nice to have you on board, says nicely HF Radio. Only needed a good antenna to try it really well, for sure. Larry Gilmore, good evening. Nice to have you on board. And says it's snowing here in Boston. Very Christmassy looking. Merry Christmas to all the gang. Merry Christmas, my friend. Keegan says low 30 Fahrenheit in Northwest Arkansas this morning. What else do we have? Matt has Radio Thailand English 13750, weak but copyable. Chris G7 VEO says I had a DX with Santa in Lapland the other day. Oh wow, cool. That is nice. 45 unit, nice to have you on board from Florida. Thank you for the congrats on the ham license. Jim's Radio Check, good evening from Chicago. Nice to have you on board. Says hadn't had a flake of snow yet this year. What else do we have? Zen Pharaohs, nice to have you on board. Following with the HF Plus Discovery on U-Loop and RSP Duo and MLA 30 Plus. And a bolus too. I had just before. That's why I was a little late. I was late on eating, and I had some baby back barbecue ribs with garlic potatoes and a little salad. It was pretty good. WF7I Homebrew says Zulu India sounds pretty sharp on CW. If they had all the three Zs, I would have thinking Zulu. I would have been like, wow. But I don't know. I like the sound of it. Skip, yeah, a bit long. The Zulu, the two Z's are very, it would have been better like India. The three Indias, India, or even better, the echo, VE2 EEE and Morse code. That's a short one to do. But in phonetics, because that's where I was thinking more than CW, Skip. In phonetics, I think it sounds great. In phonetics, I think it kind of comes out of the noise, But you know what, Skip? You might actually hear me one day, and we might have a contact because I want to learn Morse code more now. I see a lot of activity in CW, and it's actually attracting me there. So I think I'm going to do some of those lessons for CW. And now that I have my basic license, of course, I'm going to, with honors, I'm going to take a little break, but I would not say no to maybe going to the advanced class and, going all the way, advanced with CW. I'd have the privilege to do pretty much what I want. I could build equipment. I could set up stations, repeaters. I could also be an examiner, which I think is important that some of us do that. One of the things that made me realize how important it is yesterday was when I passed my exam online, realizing how important it was that someone cared about me passing my exam. I mean, we do not become hams if no one is there to do that. And it's pretty much a voluntary job there. And it's important to have people that are there for that, for sure. So, anyways, we're gonna check it out. TVDX, we can talk on HF now. Yeah, just need a decent antenna or something that actually works. I think that's the important thing here. So I'm brainstorming what exactly could I do. I was looking at a video today. I don't remember the ham call. The video was a guy that lives in an apartment complex and was showing his antennas that he actually made and that he actually had contacts on a single sideband with, Europe and all of that. And he's like, look, with this setup, I've been able to do that. And nothing fancy, just, explaining well how he set it up in a place where it's complicated to set up antennas. And he's more complex than me because I have a lot more possibilities here. So it's giving me ideas for sure. WF7I Homebrew. My Novus call was KA7VVU, similar to ZZI towards the end of the alphabet. As I upgrade, got a new call sign. Maybe I'll change, maybe not over the years. I don't know. Zen Pharaohs, nice to have you on board. Says 5 kilowatt a day, 33 watt 9 medium wave station about 3 miles away. So I have some experience with medium wave interference, but not quite the level of Vince. Yeah. X80Xer, my dad W9JEF Novus call was WN9JEF. You know what? Well, I could be changing for some reason, but what would make me change my call maybe would be if my sister's call would be available. Matt says, yeah, in the US, they just give you what's next in queue. Well, I had two choices. When I went to the ISCD website, and it's very well done, actually. It's very well done the way that they made this. The examiner sends the exam results to ISCD Canada, and ISCD, I think it took 2 minutes. I got an email from them saying, hey, congrats, this is your score, and this is your basic with honors, so you have HF and everything. In that email, there was a passcode and a link. The link says, go and create your account on the IACD website. Then, in the account, when you're in, just go to new ham radio call. There, you're going to be asked which one you want. I chose the one I wanted. Took, I think, a minute. I had an email saying, congratulations, you are VE2 Zulu Zulu, India. Welcome aboard. Your certificate will be in the mail. And of course, I'll have probably that. I guess it's when the certificate comes that you also get that the pay, how much you owe to for the license fees. And then, of course, you're ham for life here in Canada. The ham ticket is good until you're age 125. So that means if I don't do anything, even if I would never use it now, Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India would be now available. Will not be available actually for 73 years. So it's good for the next 73 years. That's what I was telling the examiner yesterday. I find it okay that it's good for life. I just find that it cuts out so many possibilities because a lot of the ham's call signs in the database are from dead hams. And I told him, I said, man, this is, the way it's done is it's so cool that they should every 5 years send us an email and say, hey, you know what? Or a letter or whatever, and just say, hey, you got to just, let us know you're still there and still want to be a ham, or else, we're going to let that ham call go. I think that would be good because I think at, how many people live to 100, first of all? Not a lot of them. 125, come on. I think they just wanted to just say, you know what? You got your call here. I don't care anymore. It gives, it points to the importance that the government now is giving to ham license. Here's your ham license. It's good for the next, until you're 125. You're dead. I don't care. It doesn't sound very professional, and it sounds more like we don't just care anymore. You know, it's so bad that I was actually talking with someone about this, and I was like, man, somebody can just take a you know take a ham radio and a transceiver and just fetch one of those calls that's not taken and just fake it, and nobody will ever ask a question. It's kind of one of those zones where you're like, wow, this is kind of crazy that it is just like you're on your own now, and who cares? Gang of four, nice to have you here from New Hampshire. Oh yeah, email. Thanks, Rob. Forgot to check email. You are a lifesaver because I'm sure some people are watching, and I haven't seen their little email here. Here we go. We have Elizabeth. It says hello and congratulations on passing your amateur radio license. She says it's something I've always wanted to do, but because of my disability, it's always been something that I didn't really know how to go about. Elizabeth is blind. So, but we have blind hams, so there are ways to pass your ham ticket, even though you have disabilities. But she says, you know what? I love listening, and I love everything you do. Thank you so much for taking the time to create this live show. Thank you very much. Richard Lemke, nice to have you on board from St. Albert, Alberta, Canada. And he says, congratulations, new ham ticket. Hope to hear on the Canadian Aurora Net 23 UT on 7100 at lower sideband. Very few check-ins from Quebec. Yeah, that could be interesting. I didn't even know there was an Aurora Net. That could be very, very nice. Pretty cool. And so it's pretty cool to have you on board, Richard, as always. So nice to have you on board, everyone. It's pretty cool to see this. Apart from that, I'm going to check that out a little later. I just wanted to mention quickly for those that are shortwave listeners and like shortwave listening, there is a nice publication that you can check out, and it is let me just put the title page here. Gail Van Horn, Winter 2021-2022 Global Radio Guide. If you guys have any ways of having the Kindle app and have this electronic book, please do get it. It's inexpensive. It's like almost $8 in the US. It's $9.99 in Canada. This is a truly global guide. It's good for newbies, explaining what shortwave is all about. It has schedules. It has utility stations of all sorts. It has all sorts of articles like this one. China, global radio powerhouse. Gives you an idea. A lot of interesting stuff that you can you check out. More than 1,000 pages in here, guys. And really a lot of stuff. Links to stations that you can listen to on the air. a million things. Of course, utility frequencies, all sorts of really cool information. Check that out. It's available on Amazon. All you need is to have the Kindle app, and it's really really cool to check out. Alpha Beta says happy birthday is now the public domain. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you on board, and thank you for the congratulations. Thank you, VT Radio. Justin, never knew you could pick up your call sign. Thought it was assigned. I learned something. Yep, you go to you have to, like I said, you have two choices. You could put a check mark and say, give me the next available one. Or you can just go and see what's available and then say, I would like that one. And if it's still available at the moment that you chose, that's the one you have. So I chose that one and I got it immediately. Noelson, nice to have you on board from Brazil. And then we have Simon Templar. Nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool to have you on board. Kevin, nice to have you here as WS2H. I think I jumped over you. Nice to have you here. And welcome aboard. And says, as an examiner, I can tell you that test is just a bump in the road. As you can see from the ARRL book, opportunities abound. So what else do we have? So Simon Templar, nice to have you here as usual. Oh yeah, it's the Cover Hill repeater. Can you actually key that one up? If you can key that one up, I probably can key it also. We could have a contact on VHF through that one. That'd be interesting, but I'll have to be outside because I have just a little portable for that. But that I think would be a nice test in broadcasting together, having a contact for the first time. What else do we have? So David KJ4CMY says K9BRS WF7FW, and I had our first official SWL channel net last Saturday. Looking forward to having Victor Echo 2 Zulu India and everyone else join. I'm gonna try to take it all. I'm gonna try to I'm looking at a portal really honestly, I'm looking at a temporary antenna that could work for now, for the winter, and improve over time. Carol, nice to have you on board. Carl Icon, nice to have you here. Merry Christmas from New York. Nice to have you on board. VE2FJG, I'm not set up to broadcast on HF right now. I'm receiving with a loop, which is an amplified loop. I can't transmit with it. And I have no, the only one we could have tried if it was still up would have been could have tried to tune the sloper and see if it would have worked. But my sloper isn't there anymore, so we can't do that. So I have no HF capability right now. The only capability that I can do is 2 meters, 70 centimeters. That's all. And by the way, I had my first contact with Fastload, which is Victor Echo 2, Echo Romeo Bravo. And we had our first contact and tried, 3 repeaters last night? We tried 3 different repeaters, including one in, that one surprised me because it's a little small portable with a rubber duck antenna, but I was able to key up the VE2 Romeo X-Ray, what is it? RXW, Romeo X-Ray Whiskey in Mont Rougemont, and I was actually able to key it up. So I was surprised that, it's, I don't know, that thing is like, 35 kilometers away, straight line at least. Not bad. So anyways, VE2 ERB is my first ever contact. Vahan Yazarian, nice to have you on board from Berkeley, California. We have 1-2, let go. What do you think of the MVT 7100? I used this to listen to everything I could back in the 90s, including shortwave. Look, it looks nice. I almost had one of those, the Yupitaru one. I almost had one of those in the 90s. I think I had passed the opportunity because I got my first trunk scanner, which was the Radio Shack Pro 92 that I had ordered. But from what I've heard over time, it seems to be like a pretty good wideband portable. So, like I said, VT radio. The Covey Hill repeater is the one that I would maybe be able to key up. So that's the one I could hear from Montreal on 146.685. You know what, VT Radio? You want to send me an email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, and we'll set up like a little schedule when you have time, and I'll try to I'll try it if I can key it up or not, and if I can, well, we'll have a little contact together. So send me a little an email, and we'll work out something and see if we can key that one up from Covey Hill. So Randall Klons, what class did you get? So here in Canada, we have two different categories. We have actually three categories in reality. So you have basic with honors, and advanced. And that's what is available in Canada. So basic, if you pass at least 70%, if your test, you get 73%, for example. If last night I would have had 70% or 71%, I would have had basic. Basic is 30 megahertz and above. You're only allowed VHF, UHF. We then have on the basic test, basic with honors, more than 80%, which what I had. At more than 80%, you are VHF, UHF, and HF capable. Then you have advanced. And of course, if you want to be an examiner or be really at the top of the game, you have to be advanced with 5 words per minute CW. And if you don't have 80%, by the way, on the basics, but you know Morse code, if you do the basic at, say, 75%, but pass 5 words per minute, you're a basic with honors. You're allowed HF also. So that's what it is. So I am a basic with honors, which means I got HF, VHF, UHF capabilities. Any band. Basically, I can transmit on all bands that are amateur radio bands. And so, we'll see what's coming next. But I could see myself trying to get that advanced license, though. Rufus got the Granic G3 at a thrift store. Wow. For how much? Complete with case and adapter for $9.99. Wow. That's a good deal. It's not, the G3 isn't the best, but it's an okay radio. For $10, I mean, I would have bought it immediately. That's for sure. Doug Smith, nice to have you here from Virginia. Still debating whether should I get a C-Crane 2E like you are testing. Worded. God. What will answer that question? If you're a medium wave DXer, it's definitely a good radio. And if you want to have a darn good kitchen radio that you can plug into the power, it's going to be the best kitchen radio probably you can get. The way I'm going to say it is, it does a good job on medium wave. That's all. That's all. FM is okay, nothing more. VHF 2 meters is that squelch trail where that time when it actually goes to the squelch is so long that the static moment that you hear for a couple of seconds is super annoying. The weather band is not very sensitive. I hear my local weather station. If that's all you want, that's fine. But I can hear three weather stations from Environment Canada usually here, which is one. I can hear the 162,400 from Burlington, Vermont. Actually, it's on Mount Mansfield, the transmitter site. I can hear 162,475, which is on in the S3 region. And I can hear, of course, my local one. That radio gets my local one and is incapable of receiving anything else. So it's kind of deaf on the NOAA channels. It's not that great because when I try, like, for example, the Vermont WVPS station 107.9, it gets it. But the difference is, for example, my Texan H501X gets it like this. The antenna is even collapsed and it gets it super strong. That one I have to put the antenna a certain length, but it ain't that great. Like I said, 2 meters is kind of very, very, you get some fatigue at times. You're gonna go crazy with that squelch that just like gives you static all the time. So I'll round it that my first impressions after a week is a good medium wave AM radio. Is it that amazing like everybody says? I won't say nothing about that yet. Okay, I will continue testing it. It's not bad. It's actually good. Okay, I'm not saying it's bad. It's actually very good on medium wave. I will be clear with that. The audio quality is great. That big speaker definitely sounds amazingly good. But let's round it up to it's a good medium wave station, a medium wave radio, and it could be a good, kitchen radio for or you need a radio, AM FM radio that has a little more than just AM FM capabilities. Am I impressed? You guys probably see that I'm not necessarily impressed. I'm not, and I'm not taking it down. It, like I said, it is good on medium wave. It is good. It gets the stations, and there's an edge. With the 501X, when I did a few things with the few reception, there's an edge. There's definitely a little something more on it. I'm going to test it out with some others, but it's a good medium wave radio, and that's it, with good audio. Speaker is really amazing. I'll leave it at that, and I'll have my full review anyways coming up probably within 3 or 4 days. I just need to test it a little more on medium wave for sure. Chris, G7 VEO, maybe someone with a big 1.5 kilowatt in Canada, US can run the net. Metal Lunar, I don't usually mess around the medium wave band much. I should play around with it. Actually, since you mentioned this, I am also in walking distance to an AM station, not full power, but still causes issues. Yep. Keegan says, I have C-Crane CC Radio 3 with Bluetooth. I forgot it my birthday. Got it for my birthday in August. Plan to test it soon. Yeah, you need to. Take it out. The CC Radio 3 is a CC Radio 2E with added Bluetooth capability. VT Radio, the host on WABC AM 770 tonight, said that they are heard from Canada to Miami, Florida. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. They are strong here in Montreal. Hey, there's a DX test. I'm going to fetch out the details a little later. There's a DX test coming up on 880 this weekend, by the way. On the East Coast, might be a difficult one because of WCBS. What else do we have? Vahan says my best AM time is 1 hour before sunset. Read my mind. Jeff King says, speaking of medium wave, Bonaire is back on 800 kilohertz, 440,000 watts, Transworld Radio. This one is impossible here because of CJAD local. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. 880 AM New York is WCBS is the dominant station here in Montreal too. Joe Brown. Nice to have you here from Southeast Michigan. Vahan says a non-shipping cost. Anna told me due to the pandemic, their usual shipper was canceled. Wow. Randy, nice to have you here from Riverside, California. Francis Moore, nice to have you here from the UK. Rob, thank you for a ham ticket. Cool. Owen, M7OJW, nice to have you here from the UK. With our own language, you're French in a state taken over by British imperialism. Surely you don't accept their rule of your country. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. It's a very, very complex issue here in Canada already. I was looking at, what is it, Barbados, that has finally just decided to cut it from the British. I do think personally that Canada should just do everything and say, you know what, the Commonwealth, this is over. We're a horn country. And I'm not saying that for any political reason of French, English, or anything. I think, you know what, Canada is his own country now, has his own destiny. Let's cut the ties and just be who we are. I think Canada should do that, personally. Anyways, nothing more politics, okay? Falstrot, nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Are you interested in QRPHF? You know what? Honestly, it's a part of HF that might interest me. Absolutely. Low power and making contacts, absolutely. That is definitely something that I would like to. So pretty cool. I'm hearing, I'm on WWV 5 megahertz. I'm hearing the tone test tones they're sending right now at 0108 UT. Andy Tobin, nice to have you here. We have Brent. Yeah, that's what he told me. It's actually when he finished, he says, it'd be fun if you joined the advanced ham course. And I told him, I said, you know what, send me the link when you actually do the next one, and I'm gonna check it out. What else do we have? News time, live broadcast. WBCQ not supported by Google Chrome browser. What do you mean in the streaming? That's weird. Owen says, got a UK Foundation license and intend to get the next 2 stages, but am I the only person that thinks this? How can government have control over radio waves? No, not really. Ham radio is a very different thing. I'm gonna go down the list as fast as I can now, because I'm gonna go down and be at the bottom of the chat room, by the way. And we're gonna talk about different little things here about all of that. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board. Says U.S. ham is only 10 years, but I got my call in Guam and its lifetime as it's a U.S. territory. Andy Tobin should be renewable at age 100. Joe Tyson, nice to have you on board. Thank you very much. Nope, you cannot pass a license to anyone else. You can pass a call sign to somebody else, but the license itself, you need to pass it. You need to do the test on your own. Kevin, in the US, we have to update every 10 years. If you forget, you have to start all over. Of course, the fee is due every 10 years also. Okay. Thank you, Randy, for the congrats. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. Sorry. Mark Alfred says congrats. Hello, Elizabeth. Nice to have you here. Dr. Sisop, what's your call so I can try to hear you? Can you transmit below 10 meters? Yes, absolutely. I have HF and VHF, UHF capabilities, Dr. Sisop. And my call sign is Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Bob Lewin, nice to have you here. N2VOI. Now get your wallet out. Well, I got this. This does, it's an FT450. It does up to 100 watts. And if it had a decent antenna, we could, tonight we could have tried something. But I don't have a decent antenna to reuse it right now. That's what's missing. What else do we have? Okay. Francis Moore, can I obtain my father's call sign G3NDW? As I said in a previous talk, was a radio operator in Burma. I was a ham when he came back until the day he died. Look, I don't know how to, because you're in the UK, but here the way it works is that if, for example, you have a ham license in Canada, so your ham now, your license is lifetime. It's good to the age 125. But if you are the family of the deceased, you can release the call sign. You can actually contact the government authority for the ham radio call, say, and send all the whatever they ask for, the certificate of death, stuff like that. And what they will do is they will release the call sign since that person is deceased. So here, this is the way that happens in Canada. Once that is done, now you can actually apply for that call sign. So what happens is you have to let it go. Once it's out, you go and get it immediately. And that becomes your call sign. So this in Canada is the way it works. I don't know because, ham radio rules and the way all of that is assigned is extremely different from country to country. And so what we can do here in Canada, for example, is different from a lot of other countries. Even the way we do our tests and everything is different from the US. And but technically, if a person is deceased, but the call sign is still assigned to that person, and I would guess in a lot of countries, you probably can do that, is you contact, you say, look, this is the person, this is my dad. My dad died. He had this call sign. So what can I do to, maybe get that call sign for me or whatever? And they're going to give you they're going to tell you what to do if it's possible. And like I said, here in Canada, the family can contact the ISED and say, well, okay, that person died. So that call sign can be released to be available to somebody else. No, I don't think I have done a video showing the medium wave notch filter on the RSP Duo or the RSPDX. That would actually be a very good video, honestly. Absolutely, Zen Pharaohs. Thomas Olson, thank you very much. Dr. Sisop says new no-code license in US will be available to use 12, 20, 40, and 80 meters voice soon before summer. So here we have access to all HF bands, all modes, with basic with honors, like I have. Mike WX15, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Paul, 3225 upper sideband. Old man congratulating Gilles on passing his amateur exam. What? On 3225 upper sideband? There's a pirate or something? A pirate. 225. Am I hearing anything there? 3225 upper sideband. Really? I don't seem to be hearing anything. We're at what? 115 now. So maybe it's not there anymore, but 3225 upper sideband. Zen Pharaohs, I am a ham in the early 70s, but didn't keep up when I went off to college. Still listen to Shortwave, though. No, QRZ.com is still not there for me because I haven't applied yet for anything there for the QRZ.com. NS Norfolk, nice to have you on board. Says congrats on your ticket. Thank you very much. Ban everything. I bought the Texan PL 660, Ethon Elite Executive, and Texan PL 330 this year. They make a great team. Great radios. The important thing is to have fun. What else do we have? A inverted L. That I one thing that I'm planning, because you guys have no idea. I've been looking at my backyard so intense since all day today. Every time I'd go in the kitchen, I would look at, okay, where could I quickly set up something? Even if it means, I thought about, even if it means the transceiver will be in the kitchen, like my old ICOM was, because that's where it's going to be easy to set up temporarily, at least to make contacts. But I've been looking at the backyard. I've been looking at how could I set up something not too complicated that could do a minimum of a job in making contacts and have some HF capability working. I got to say that I've been looking at that quite intense today. So, don't be surprised that I would just like go about and say, you know what? I put up this makeshift antenna and let's try it. Of course, I hope it works, but it's, I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Joseph, W8JXQ. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much. What else do we have? So, nope, I can use all HF bands, Dr. Sisop. Basic with honors is every HF band. I have no limit. I have limit on power output, but I can use all HF bands on any mode I want. That's something I'm going to check it out, Fastload. I'm really curious as to what I could set up quickly. Let's try to go a little faster. Dan, nice to have you here from Ohio and AWJZ. Thank you for the nice comments. Owen says, Elizabeth saying, so he says he's autistic. He's licensed. Understand your frustrations. I guess my disability doesn't cause so many problems. There are blind hams, and there are people that are disabled that are hams. And actually, for people with disability, amateur radio is great because, if you're a blind ham, for example, it's like shortwave listening. It's a great hobby because it opens up the world. It's something you can go through, you can immerse into, you can feel it, you can be there. Ham radio, one aspect of ham radio. It's like chat on the internet. One aspect of ham radio. Nobody knows you have a disability. Nobody, society, when we meet in person, always, it's the way we are. It's not necessarily that people want to be bad. It's just the way we are. There's a boundary. How many of us, when we see people in a wheelchair, think they're mentally disabled in some way? I am guilty of that. I don't know why. Because being in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you're mentally disabled in some way. At all. At all. It simply means, you might have, your legs don't work. That's all. You're still the most intelligent person in the world. But I don't know, our minds and the way that we are, and I think ham radio and radio in general is cool for that, because nobody sees any of your disabilities. You're just a normal person at the other side of the radio that you're having a conversation or a contact with. No thinking of anything, no judgment of anything, no, it's just that. And that's kind of cool, because I think it's a great hobby for some people, honestly. What else do we have? WF7I says one of the easiest way to get on the air quickly would be to use one of their handstick style whips and magnetic mount style base, but put on your balcony and you're good to go. Well, that would work great on my metal shed in the backyard. That's why my VHF UHF vertical works so well. That thing is perfect for magnetic mount antennas. If there would be a mag mount, hyper HF antenna, I'd get that, because I'd put it on the metal shed in the backyard and it would immediately be an amazing antenna. That thing works great for those antennas. That's why my 99 cents VHF UHF antenna worked so well. It was at the perfect position on a metal, shed. And I mean, it's still there, unused. And honestly, on some ranges, because I have the Tram 1411, which is a nice antenna, but the more I use it, the more I see that on some frequency ranges, my vertical is better. It depends where I'm listening and what I want to listen to. On satellite, amateur satellite listening, my vertical in the back is better at amateur satellite listening on VHF UHF than my Tram discount. Now, I have to say that it's not positioned as well also, but kind of interesting. KW61, quick greetings and goodbye from a cool and cloudy Tucson, Arizona. Congrats on your ham license. You're a old man now. Hey, I'm a old man now. That's why I got the gray beard. I became a ham, gray beard. Rob Wagner, nice to have you here. VK3BVW. Nice to have you on board. Almost lunchtime there. Stumble across a live channel. Take care, my friend. Always nice to see you here. What else do we have? Yeah, but I want to look, Joe Tyson. VHF is not my priority. Has zero VHF in it. Honestly, my priority is HF. VHF UHF it's nice. It's there. It exists, and I will probably from time to time use it. It was nice last night. Fast loaded me. Thanks to VHF UHF capability that I already had. We had our first contact. It was my first contact. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. Went a few frequencies. One thing we didn't try that maybe we should have tried fast load is a simplex frequency, not just repeaters. See if we can get, maybe after the show, if you're still there, fast load, maybe we can try a simplex contact, see if we can directly contact each other rather than using a repeater. But that's not, for me, that's not it's okay, but it's not what I want. I am a particular type of guy. There are people on repeaters, every night there's these nets and everything. And it's like, it's fine if that's what you like. Okay. I got no problem with that. It's just that's not me, and that's not what I'll be, and that's it. I want to do more than that on ham radio. I'll resume it exactly like I said to the examiner last night. So Dave, VE9 Charlie Bravo, when he said that with what I do on the channel here and my knowledge, I would be a great ambassador of amateur radio. I told him what I want to bring back in amateur radio is what I'm trying to bring back in shortwave here. I want to have people enjoy amateur radio way more than just the standard boring stuff that's always on the air and constantly on the air. Let's try to, shake up that ham radio stuff and say, come on, guys. Stop being boring and start being interesting and trying stuff. It's like you're sitting on your chair and doing nothing all the time. You guys made me want to have a ham ticket. Well, you guys better realize one thing. I'm going to shake your ass with your ham license to do stuff, because I didn't get my ham license to do nothing with it. And I didn't get my ham license to just go on 2 meters and say hi on the net. And it's beautiful in Montreal tonight, and I hope everybody's beautiful. Cheers. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's one aspect, and that's cool. Some people are on the aspect of local nets and meeting up on, those club meetings and saying hi, and it's okay. But I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to kick your AM radio butts, because I want to have people doing stuff. And I'll be promoting stuff that you guys will have to participate and do. So better be ready, because now that I have my ham license, I'm going to kick your ham radio butts, okay? Oh, God. Owen, I don't know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the one at Covey Hill, I don't know. I know some of the ones we talked yesterday, me and Fastload, are Echolink enabled. I know that. Dr. Sisop, in the US, you need 65% past ignition, which allows 28 megahertz and above. Here, it's above 80% basic. You have all HF capabilities. Chris66, nice to have you on board. Thank you for the congratulations. Received his new Seacrane Skywave SSB. Have fun and enjoy that radio. You're going to have fun with it for sure. Quick little tip. Don't hesitate to put a wire to extend that little small antenna to make it even better, for sure. What else do we have? Oh, Chris, you know what? Are you on Facebook? I'll post pictures. I got no problem. I got a big backyard, and I even have access to the backyard of the neighbor, so I can actually put up real large antennas. But we're gonna see. Anyways, Andy New was the radio next to your 8500. So I mean, you're talking about this one here. So the 8500 is there. The CB, that's the 980 CB from 980 SSB from Uniden, the CB. This is an FT450, Yaesu FT450. It's not a D version. It's the original one. Zenfaros came across maritime weather station I never used to get. Newfoundland 2598 USB. Did they change their pattern? Nope. It's more because we're in the winter propagation, which tremendously helps lower frequencies because of the long nights. Roger Gibbs, interested in your views on the performance difference between View 2 price point MLA30 and Bonito MA305. Yeah, I've seen that. I would have to purchase one to really give an honest opinion on it, honestly. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, I know it's not there yet. I haven't registered yet. That's why. Dr. Sisop. Chris Alpha Dango, nice to have you on board. N3WER, Chris. Kenneth Cripps, W7ITC. Nice to have you on board with an IC7300. 10 Tech Omni 6, R390A, and R388/URR. Wow. Cool. Chris Alpha Tango. Next of kin can claim the call sign in USA and Canada. Cool. WF7I Umbro, there was a chat on Saturday's live stream, I think, about some Ukrainian station on 40 meters. Anyone have frequencies for that? Can it be heard in the east coast of the US? Yeah, we were talking about the war going on the AM radio 40 meters, 7050, 7040. Those are the two frequencies to check out. It's basically Russians and Ukrainians going at it constantly. 7050 and 7040. I haven't tried it here. If I can, we can hear it. In Europe, you guys hear it all the time. But here in North America, East Coast, I haven't seen a lot of reports of people hearing anything. So you'll hear mostly what sounds Russian language. Sometimes on the waterfall, I've seen a few posts send that. Some people send some audios that actually, like, on the waterfall of an SDR will show skulls or all sorts of, of different patterns on the frequency. DJ K Solo, nice to have you on board. Vince, the notch filter on SDR Uno is on and off, and it's really because you're really, really close, because, man, the on is extremely good. Here, if I put it on here, I block even the local stations. But you're so close, and 730 is so powerful that it might actually be able to override it. Thank you, John Beckham. Nice to have you here. Jason, VE9JMC, build your multi-band fan dipole. The problem here, and this is where I'm going to go to for an antenna. The problem with the antenna is not putting it up. What I have as a problem here is actually the noise level that it's going to pick up. So if I put a dipole in my backyard, say I take the time this weekend to build one, put it up. Okay? I put a dipole. Say I put a dipole for 20 meters. The problem will be mostly that you guys are probably going to hear me, and I won't be able to hear anyone. And this is where I am locked. I'm locked in. I might not hear anyone that's calling me, but you will hear that everybody's going to hear me. And that's the problem. That is the problem. So that's where I got a problem. That's where my main problem lies. It won't be on the transmission line. It will be on the receiving end. That's why I, one of the things I've been thinking is, how about using a way of, having my receive antenna, removed when I transmit, and have a receive and a transmit. So, for example, dipole to transmit, and use my W6LVP to receive. If I could have two antennas, because loops are much better here than anything else. That's my biggest problem. And I'm thinking, what I'm going to have to take my 450 and a lead acid battery and go into Perry Island and set up in the trees and have contacts where there's no noise. And that sounds kind of cool, and it is absolutely cool, but you can't do that every day. So, I'm going to have to check that out. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. And you know what, Brad? I forgot that. I need to do it. I forgot about it. Nah. I'm going to take a note of it, because that's something we talked last Saturday that I need to try. I'm going to take note of that. Clocks. And I'm going to know that I have to do it tonight. Clocks. Where's my pen? Yeah, I want to have a pen. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me just, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'll put it like this here on the book. When I see that, it's going to remind me that I need to do it. Because, that's something we wanted to do, and I need to do it. Dr. Sisop. No, my CW is rather bad. I'm gonna have to work on it. Igor, nice to have you on board. VE4PRS, thank you very much. Vince, I know you're a professional cabling and installation of antennas and stuff. So it doesn't have to be invisible in my case. I mean, people know, my neighbors know what I do for the most part, and don't really care much here. So I'm gonna check it out. So by the way, here the FT450 has a antenna tuner built in. John Beckham, enjoyed your Texan PL 680 versus 600 regarding audio quality and calibration improvements. V2 FGJ antenna, simple homemade dipole, 16.5 feet long each leg, would give you 20 meters easily. Can be made with any spare parts. What else do we have? WF7 Ion Brew should totally get one of these whips. It is cheap, and at least for now would get you on the air. I used one for years on a metal pickup truck. So cool. Jose Alejandro, ¿cómo está mi amigo desde Colombia? Nice to have you here from Canada. Vianney, salut Vianney, j'espère que ça va bien. De la région de la Gaspésie. J'espère qu'il n'y a pas trop de neige dans ton coin. V2 FGJ, a MFJ 1620T mag mount, 20 meters, 8 foot, would fit on your metal roof. Have one, works well. Okay. Nope. ChemX Z76. No talk of prostates or anything else. That's for sure. That's for sure. No kidney stones, no prostate problems. Oh, man. Undecided hobbies. Nice to have you here. John Beckham, what broadcast transmits on 9855? As I heard the station 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 20:45 UTC. We're hearing NHK Radio Japan and French from the Madagascar relay station. So that's Radio Japan. I hear that one regularly. It's one of my favorites in the afternoon here in Montreal. 9855 from Madagascar relay. Dimitri, what your favorite ham network do you monitor on the air band? On the air, you mean? Can you rephrase that question? I'm not sure exactly what you mean and what to answer. Exactly. Mobile Armor Strike Command. Be active on the air except going on the air for contests. Well, I might do contests sometimes, but honestly, I'm gonna go and dabble on so many things. That's pretty much what I want to do. What else do we have? John Beckham, chill you go as you are a big time ham operator now. What about the proposed shortwave club? Yeah, give me time. You should see this guy, what he needs to do. Don't worry. I'm thinking about it. It's in all the projects. Give me time. WF7I, yeah, some guys like to hang out on 2 meters and drone on for hours. It's like a version of the old show Cheers, but in radio form. It's okay, I'm not bashing that at all, by the way, at all, because it's part of what ham radio is. And you know what? When I had my first Scanner radios, I honestly found it cool to listen to the ham nets in the evening and stuff like that. Was part of what all of it was about, and I found that cool to listen to those. But it's like I'm we're talking about in the 90s, so it's like 20 years later. I'm like, yeah, okay, no, 30 years later. Sorry, it's like no, I'm not there anymore. It's okay, I don't want to be there every night at 7 p.m. saying, yeah, well, this is Victor Echo 2 Zulu India. It's snowing outside, and I want to say 7-3 and 88 to everyone out there, and thank you for that. Because, I've heard so many of them that this is exactly what they're saying and what they are. And it's like, yeah, don't forget that there's the club, the club meetup this weekend to eat pancakes. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at anyone, although I am laughing, but no. If that's what is the fun for you, definitely be a ham and do it. It's one part of the ham stuff. It's like when I talked about FT8, I'm not interested in FT8. Doesn't mean I will not try it. It's just, I don't have a connection to it. That's what I'll say about FT8. But it's a popular mode, and that's what a lot of hams do. Once again, anytime that I talk about something I don't like or I don't want to do not think that it's because it's a bad thing at all. It's just that it's not my thing. But do continue doing what you do. You like contesting? I have no problem with contesting at all. I mean, okay, there's savages going over the airwaves and like, you won't have a contact that weekend for sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's like a bunch of savages, but it's not every weekend, and it's part of what could be is ham radio. I wish there would be more hams without the contests than with the contests. But look. Whatever you do with your ham license is perfectly fine. I just wish there'd be a little more diversity, and that's where I get in. That's where I hope to stir more interest in ham radio, and as we'll talk about it here on the channel also, maybe it will stir some more interest for everyone. What else do we have? So Francis is practicing 20 minutes a day to learn Morse. Yeah, it's like learning a language, eh? You need the time to learn that language. One night we try 160 meters this summer, as Quebec is hard to get from here, but here skip once in a while. Yeah, 160 meters. It'd be better in the wintertime, though. Barry, you sound like a DXer from Channel 6, the Super Bowl calling people out. Oh, man. Vianney, yes, absolutely. I hope you're well too, my friends. VA2EIV Robert, salut, et j'espère que ça va bien. Très heureux de ton Texan H501X. Et effectivement, et en FM stéréo, c'est super. I'm glad that you're happy with your Texan receiver. The 501X is absolutely an amazing radio today. Barry, don't be a sad ham. Exactly. Just be happy. WF7I. Oops. Lost where I was. Unless things are different now, I don't believe you have to register QRZ to display your call sign. Yes, you have. They do not take the call signs automatically. You have to register your call sign. If you don't register, your call sign is not in there. Your call sign is not automatically registered. I've checked the details last night. So your call sign will be registered only if you do so. And most people do so because they know QRZ is one of those places. But I have come across many call signs that never showed up anything, and they are hams. It's like you kind of gotta say, yeah, you have to. Then you can give more details and stuff, but I believe it's not automatic. Not for at least from what I've seen, at least. Fitch, listen to a blind ham telling a story about climbing a tower at night. Whoa. Okay. Well, it's not because you're blind that you can't do manual stuff, you know. Anything else? Dr. Sishop uses the SciComm 7300. What do you guys think of the 7300? Just a quick survey. If I were to get a ICOM 7300, yes, no, maybe, think about something else. Quick answer. I don't want to have, a full story of it. Yes, no, or think about something else. JDA Dakota, if they bring DAB to Western Hemisphere, look, nah, it's not going to be that. DJK Solo, vodka cranberry juice is what I'm having tonight. Fast load, you need an X-Phase QRM eliminator. Well, I'm waiting for one cheap one from China to see if it works. What else do we have? Shelly, nice to have you here. Thank you for congratulations. WF7I says, yeah, you can certainly use two antennas, one for receive, one for transmit. Many hams will switch to a beverage for receive, for example. Yeah, because I think that maybe that will be the best way for me to handle the noise level. That's the thing. Beholden, nice to have you here. Thank you for the congrats. KC1FIG in Massachusetts. What else do we have? Bob Lewin, use a NIR12 noise reduction unit or an MFJ noise reduction. Will greatly reduce or eliminate your eye noise level. Jason, V9JMC, I guess it really depends on the level of noise you're talking about. Here, noise is not S3 to S5, Jason. I'm in the middle of Montreal. Noise is S9, S8, S7, depending on the band. Okay? To give you an idea. Okay? If I tune this receiver here, let me just check it out. I'm in the menu here. Okay. If I tune any bands. So if I go band 7195, I got S7, S8 noise, 7195, 40 meters. This is my noise level is never below S7. Okay, think about it. S7 is my threshold. You got to be strong to get over that. You got to be there. Nathan Petrovsky, how good would an AirSpy U-Loop be on the Texan PL990X? Well, if you have high noise, it will work. It should work okay. It should work well. It's a passive antenna. But if you have high noise, think about loops. Okay, magnetic loops need to be installed in a high noise environment to be what they are. In any environment where noise is low, you'll have so much more signals with 50 feet of wire that will cost you nothing or almost than a loop. Okay, think about that for loop antennas, an MLA 30, a U loop, whatever. Personally, I use an MLA 30. I won't talk. I don't have a U loop, so I won't compare. For me, the MLA 30 would be a good choice. It's an amplified antenna, works great. The more I read of the AirSpy, of the U loop, and of the MLA 30, the only difference I see is one's amplified, one's not. Meaning your signal is going to be weaker on the U loop than on the MLA 30, but they seem to still be good antennas. William, just getting to receiving with an SDR played RSBDX and good suggestions of HF antenna. Depends on the noise you have. It could be as simple as a long wire outdoors that comes in through a coax cable to a loop. Depends on the noise you've got. Jason, antenna tuners are nice. You get to fool the radio to think you have a great SDR, but really you're still losing. Oh, I'm sure, because you're not necessarily matched perfectly. It's not like having the antenna matched as it should be. That's for sure. That's for sure. You know, the I'm just going to go back to that comment here. So Larry Cordy, nice to have you here from New York. Let's just see as a comment. Sorry, guys. Hey, Rick Satter, nice to have you here from Milwaukee. Nice to have you on board. Oh, I just missed a great comment where I need to see it again. Oh, David KJ4CMY, kidney stones and prostate problems belong to the 80-meter band. Actually, you have the lower. I'm going to do a bad joke here. The lower you go in frequency range, the more kidney stones and prostate problems there is. Not true. I'm sorry. I'm a bad guy. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen that antenna. It looks quite interesting because you're resonant everywhere or on a lot of frequency ranges you want. Absolutely. That I have seen one of those. They look kind of fun. I would actually be able to probably make one here if I take the time to do it. I have enough space for it, probably. So, hey, fast load, come on. Haven't you been on 160 meters and heard someone talk about his rectal exam? God. It's amateur radio. I mean, there's all sorts of conversations. Okay, we'll all be there one day. I'll be an 80-year-old guy that's going to talk about I don't know what. Okay. In my good old days, YouTube was the thing. Today, I don't know what that is on the internet anymore. I don't understand it. John Beckham, do you have a so-called preferred meter band for your ham radio broadcasting activity now that you are licensed? I'll probably resume it more as HF is where I would have my preferred ham activity. I can't say there's a band on HF that I would prefer. I would often be on where the activity is, which means, 40, 80, 40, 20 ish, because that's where a lot of people are. I do love 10 meters. When it's open, I love 10 meters, honestly. So, there's a lot of possibilities, but if I would resume it more, it would be HF is where I would like to be more than any other band, except for specific things, like if I'd have a setup for satellite, I'd love to be on VHF, UHF satellite, and do contacts. Victor Echo 9, Charlie Bravo, the guy that passed the examination, which was amazed at the fact that I talked to him about how I was, using Ham Radio Deluxe, controlling my ICOM. And, the guy obviously noticed that, well, this guy's a shortwave listener and a listener, but he's just like, he's not like a basic listener. He does a lot of stuff. He knows his stuff. And so, I think he already knew that I would pass with honors without a problem. But if I would have the capability of a setup for satellite, I'd try it. I'd try it immediately. I'd love to try that. You know what? It's something that I would definitely love to do. So there are things that attract me more than others. But if we talk about a frequency range, I would be more of just without a preference. Put me on HF. Okay, put me anywhere between 160 and 10 meters. Obviously, 160 and 80 is a little more difficult with the antenna requirements and but HF is where you will find me pretty much, honestly. Barry, I was in the Thunderbolt CB Club and we had meetings at Artie's on Wednesdays. We put the coffee makers through the hell. What else do we have? What else do we have? Chris, G7 VEO, full wave loop on the ground for a receive antenna, supposed to be good. Yeah, I don't know how it would do that here. It'd kind of be difficult. John Beckham, do you have a so-called preferred meter band? So that's what I was saying. It's like HF, really. Let's put it a little broad and be HF. Like Dimitri, for listening, I'll listen on pretty much any amateur band with activity on it. I like 20 meters and 40 meters for the EZDX capabilities. Most of the time, that's where I'll hear the Europeans and so on. But any HF band when activity is on it. Pedro, nice to have you on board from Mexico. Well, we're going to see anyways. But from what I've understood is that it's not automatic. WSI Homebrew, but we're going to check it out. Anyways, it should appear eventually. As soon as all is done, I would guess. I don't know how long it takes, but I would guess at some point it's going to register. If it has to register by itself, it will be. Beholden loves his 7300. Mickey Dalmage, 7300. Yes. Dr. Sisop. Yes, a good radio. Scannery KB1 PPJ says yes, 7300. VE2 FGJ 7300, awesome radio. Artist Auto Crafter's Kitchen, yes. David KJ4CNY 7300 is a good transceiver. Dwayne, go for it. Chris, yes. Dennis, yes. Dimitri, in my area, I hear regularly 75, 80 meter band. Mostly hear voice communication. Sometimes very interesting. There are some, I mean, it's not because it's 80 or 160 that it's non-interesting, by the way. It's actually, it could be very interesting. It's not a question of the band. I think it goes with what band is more conversational. It's more local on 80 and 160, so it's more of a it's more of a local thing. It's like probably VHF, UHF. A lot of local people that know each other and talk with each other every night. You'll talk about more down to earth stuff of your everyday life. You don't hear prostate problems on 20 meters most of the time because the guy on 20 meters want to contact someone from as far away as possible. Dr. Sysops, you can modify so you can go up to 84 megahertz. David, let's give a thumbs up. Fastlow 73800 is a good transceiver but expensive. You already have an HF. Yeah, but Radio World in Toronto has it for $14.99 minus 100 bonus, so it'll be $13.99 plus tax plus shipping. Look, I got an FT450, and I honestly, it's true, I do have something that already is ready for it. What I want to do. I'll be very fair with that, is that I have a hard time, because the FT450 is in that range, of anything that cannot have I can punch in a frequency. Remember, guys, that my transceiver is not going to be a ham transceiver only. It's going to be one of the main receivers I use for everything. It has to be a good transceiver. It has to be a great receiver, easy to use, that I punch in a frequency I want to hear, and that's it. This, okay, I want to hear, okay, an example, okay? I want to go to, somebody's going to tell me, oh, there's something on, okay, let's try 5450, the Royal Air Force from the UK. Oh, there's something there. Okay, so I'm going to have to, go to different bands and try different times, and then I'm going to have to, go through the different. That's a step. Here we go. Here I'm on 5450. Now it wasn't that bad, and the speed was relatively okay. And then I have to choose the correct mode. I'm in the correct mode. We can hear it very, very weak. The UK. I don't know if maybe 5505, which is the Shannon station, might be better. Propagation doesn't seem to be that great tonight. So, it wasn't that it's that long to go to it, because they have definitely made it in a way that it's not that, bad to go to a frequency you want to listen to. But I hate that. If you can't let me punch in a frequency, I have a hard time with that. And that's one of the things. Okay? That's one of the things. David, KJ4CMY, getting an antenna to shed me just help you reduce the noise. Well, I have put up a CB antenna on that shed. It's dreadfully noisy on the shed also. Dave Conti, nice to have you here in the Bronx, New York City. Electrical interference seems to be overwhelmed most of the bands on my radio. A few of them seem to be nothing but loud buzzing. That's a big problem of a big city dweller for sure. You cannot transmit on an MLA 30 without because it has because it has an amplifier. It'll blow the amplifier. It would have to be just the loop. Francis Moore, I bought a Windows tablet. Is Spyware the best SDR unit? Which model should be the best? Is Spy? Which one? What are you talking about? Spyware? V2FGJ to reduce noise. You can use a one-to-one choke. MFJ914 has one installed in the Internet feed point. Also reduces RFI come back. Honestly, here I've tried so many things. The only thing that has worked to some degree is a magnetic loop. Honestly, it's so noisy here. I'd like to have everybody that talks about noise and talks about solutions come over here and try things. Honestly. N6RLS, nice to have you on board, my friend. Thank you very much. Carl Icon is receiving some aeronautical on 6586. Cool. Dr. Sisop, Icon 7300 is a great antenna tuner built on. When I use it on 10-meter antenna, I can use it on 20 meters, and tuner really works well. David KJ4CNY, 80 meters is often called a medical band. Oh, a prostate net. Why not? I'm going to start that. A prostate net. Dmitry, transceiver icon, 7300 and internal antenna tuner. Those screen with waterfall and all controls you can find on the screen. So, those we have. Zen Pharaohs. Here's the first take on U-Loop PL330. It works well. Signal about the same strength as the built-in whip, but get rid of the noise better than I would have guessed. Well, one of the things that a loop is good for is removing some of the noise, so that's for sure. Fastload went with a FT991A. As we have. So Zen Pharaohs likes the U-Loop and PL330. What else do we have? Den Long, hello there. Nice to have you here. Zen Pharaohs really surprising for 935, 330. Okay. Well, here 2 meters isn't dead. It's okay. No, a DSP speaker, Nathan, will not remove any noise. A DSP speaker is, especially a DSP speaker, is mostly just for processing audio. So it won't remove noise. It will, change maybe the frequencies and do some processing of the audio, but definitely a DSP speaker will not necessarily do much. Noise is much more complex, and noise needs to be treated at the antenna side with what can be done basically with anything, but not at the audio side, basically. NJDXer, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. John Paul, the cat, and his girlfriend is doing great. They were actually sleeping both on the bed as I started this show, so they might still be there, actually. Oh, okay. WF7I. So you got me listed on QRZ.com. Cool. Cool. We'll check that out. WF7I Homebrew. Thanks. Hey, good night, Vahan. Always nice to have you on board. So I'm there. Don't worry, WF7I Homebrew. Bonsoir, TVDX, sir. Key 6YYL 7300, excellent. Yeah. I was thinking about it 7300 as a Christmas gift. Even though it cost me in total $5,000 for the dental work, which is kind of breaking my budget quite a lot. Part of me was like, yeah, get that. Get the 7300 as your Christmas gift. It's an amateur radio Christmas gift. That's what I was thinking of. So $13.99 here in Canada in Canadian dollars, because of course, for example, Ham Radio Outlet had it for $9.99, but $9.99 here in Canada. That $9.99 is now $1,250 plus, if not $1,300 plus. Shipping won't be free for Canada. Plus, I'll have to pay the taxes, which are going to be like $150, $200. Equals, it's going to be like $1,700, $1,800 in Canada for that Ham Radio Outlet radio. When I got the FT450 here, I had to pay $160 in taxes. And that's a gift, because what they do here when you get something like that is they look at the price, the value of the device, and say, got to pay taxes. So even a free gift is not a free gift when I get it. So that's why from Radio World in Toronto, at $1,399 plus tax and shipping, it's less expensive than having it from the US, less complicated also. I'm an Elmer to a lot of listeners. Yes, I am. That's true. I'm 52. I'm not 18. That's for sure. Two Broke Tim, what do Pirates radio people use? Usually they're modified ham gear. So most ham gear, including this FT450, if you are a tinkerer, you can go online and check it up, and you will have, all the information needed to unlock the transceive. So what's going to happen is that this, which is locked to transmit on the ham bands, will suddenly transmit anywhere. And a lot of pirates use ham radio gear that is just unlocked for any frequency of transmission. It's the easiest way to be a pirate. Just use a unlocked transceiver. 7 Templar uses a 66 feet end fed, the MFJ 1984 MP. CWB FT450, great work, Hearst rig, and it's not hard to make them sound good on the air too. Yeah. I'm underestimating my FT450, and I need to, anyways, it's going to be the first radio to make contacts with on HF. So this is going to be the first. Let's try it out and see what it does, for sure. And I haven't yet decided to really purchase the E7300. We're going to check it out. I do have something already, and you guys that say, well, you got something already, it's okay. But there's a few things that bother me: the lack of keypad and the DSP stage that even the original 450 has. It's kind of doesn't give the audio. It might have the good audio that I want for a single sideband. It's just that the audio 4 and maybe that's where I'm placing it in a wrong category. It is a ham transceiver. The audio 4 AM broadcast band station isn't that great. But yeah, I got to admit, if I go on the ham bands and tune around, um, on the ham bands, it sounds okay. It sounds okay. I mean, sorry guys. If I can get, if I look at ham station here, 36. Yeah, it doesn't sound, on single sideband it sounds okay. This is 3711. Let me try if I see something else I can hear. Let's go down to 160 meters. That's 160 meters, 1930 kilohertz. It doesn't sound bad on a single sideband, I gotta say. I've got to say. Thomas tomorrow, why can't I catch WBCQ anymore in Jersey on 7490? That's the change of season. 7490 is still there. It's just that depending on the time of year, propagation changes. Remember, they use 4790, 6160, 7490, 9330 for that crap world, flat world thing. But it's mostly a question of time of year on propagation. Sinfaros, back to reality. Try the U-loop again on Airspeed Duo and compare with the MLA30. Airspeed Duo really prefers the MLA30, so U-loop is not for every radio. Take care, Francis. Bob Blue and get the 7300. Noise reduction and noise blankers are really good. John Beckham, have you received WBOB 600 AM testing their 50 kilowatt transmitter last night? At night, last week, I believe it was. Nope. 600 here is a powerhouse station that's supposed to have news, but you know what? Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Does Canada have AM radio stores, chains, or just one-offs? It has a few radio stores in a few provinces. I would guess Radio World is one of the popular ones. And I think even Radio World is like linked or associated with a few others, but there's maybe 4 or 5 different places. But I think that a lot of them are now associated with Radio World in Toronto. Yeah, one of the things of the MLA30, because the U-loop, I don't know, what's the size of the U-loop? Just out of curiosity, Paul, what's the size of the U-loop compared to the size of the MLA30? Because if the loop is bigger, might be actually better on lower frequency. So it's possible that medium wave DX stations are better. Undecided hobbies. GPS Central in Alberta is a sister company of Radio World. They accept PayPal that Radio World does not. Actually, Radio World does take PayPal. I've purchased stuff through Radio World with PayPal. Honestly. Oh, and dental work. Teeth are overrated. Just eat soft food. Oh, God. Randall Klantz 7300, almost identical to the 86 in operation, except it is a transceiver, not. Yeah, and the frequency range. The 8600 is a wide band receiver with digital modes. So they're not exactly the same, but they are lookalikes. Dimitri, you consider to use Yagi antenna for your main transceiver and try to install far from your home in an open area? Well, that's kind of a difficult thing here because I have buildings all around. Nathan, do balance or grounding do anything for loops, or is that stuff more for the types of antenna? Well, if you're talking about like an MLA30, you don't ground an MLA30 and you don't use a balance on an MLA30. These antennas work on their own with what they do. Balance and grounding are more for wire antennas and all sorts of things like that, dipoles and so on. WF7I Homebrew. So if anybody wants to try again for the net on Saturday, I think it could be interesting for sure. For sure. So we'll talk about it anyway Saturday, and we'll see. And 80 meters seem to be a better band. So I'm going to check that out. What else do we have? Yeah, no, Dr. Sissa. Yes, I noticed that the FT450's audio is not meant for AM, honestly. What else do we have? What else do we have? John Beckham was able to receive CHU on 3330 in Northeast Florida. And as usually receives CHU on 14670. Cool. Joe Tyson says, in my opinion, if you're not going to do digital, FT450 will serve you well. I mean, one thing for sure, I'm going to have to try it. Okay, I haven't tried it as a transceiver, and I will definitely try it. And I'll listen to you guys of what I should do or not. And I haven't. I have the deal on AM radio on Radio World goes up to December 31st. So I'm not in a rush to get 7300 now, for sure. Okay, U-loop is the same size. Okay, interesting. Okay, just out of curiosity, because a bigger loop would definitely probably be better. Nope, no ham radio outlets in Canada. John Hummel Newell, VE5JHN. Nice to have you here. Got his Xiego G90 and a mag loop antenna. So cool. Well, I purchased I purchased a few things a couple of weeks ago. You're kind of creating a doubt in my mind now, undecided hobbies, but I do think I was able to go through PayPal. Or did I use a credit card? No, you're actually making me doubt undecided hobbies. I'm not sure anymore now. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you on board from very icy Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Got some lots of freezing rain this morning. So nice to have you here. Paul, just become a billionaire and you can avoid the taxes altogether. If I become a billionaire, I'm going to buy such a big land that it's going to be, if I become a billionaire, honestly, chances are very small. But if I do, I promise you that I will have the biggest radio area in the world, and that every year I'm going to fly in hundreds of people from around the world that are ham radio or shortwave listeners to spend a couple of weeks tuning around, playing around with the radios and the antennas at my antenna farm in my station. And I mean, as a billionaire, I'll have the luxury to do that for sure. And all of that while I'm up there in one of those, space tourist things. Oh God. Cool college, Canadian radio TV guy. Why not? Broadcasting in college. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hey, Zach. Nice to have you on board. What's up? I'm Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. So we're at 9:25. We've been on for 2:20. I just want to talk about, first of all, my experience as a ham radio guy getting my license. Dimitri, I'll honestly, and I'll be very fair on what I'm going to say here. I don't really care where it's made. What I care about is how good it is. That will be what will decide for me. What I like or not. Wow, I've got this way too big here. So I don't care if it's made in China or not. It's really, really much more of how good it is, honestly. Really. Okay. One thing I want to say is first my experience as going through the ham course and exam. Of course, I learned stuff, and I knew I would because I know where my knowledge is, not as good as it should be. I know where I'm strong in my knowledge, and the exam kind of reflected pretty much that. Where I missed was where my knowledge isn't the best. And of course, where I shined was where I knew I would shine, anyways. My take on it is, because we have several levels of ham tickets, and we talked about it, and let's not debate tonight on, because we already did, anyways. I think there's a lot of what's in the ham contest that could be left behind to focus more on amateur radio operation and radio operation of a station. Let's put it like that. Okay. Of course, still have an exam. That's what removes the people that don't want to be hams. The exam. An exam is where people are just like, no, I'm not going to take an exam and do all of that. I think as a future of amateur radio, that knowledge needs to change. That's why we have several stages. For me, ham radio should focus more on radio operations for the basic and for the rest, advanced, and so on. And depending on what country you are, where there's more than 2 layers, that's where you learn electronics and all sorts of things like that. I'll leave it at that for that, because I think, and what I've noticed as I've seen 169 people become about 60. And out of those 60, really a very small handful with ham tickets and call signs in the end. I think that there needs to be a way to simplify the ham entry level. And focus it's not, because people will say, well, it's dumbing down and so on. It's not dumbing it down. It's focusing on what ham radio is and operations of a ham station emergencies, antennas, radios, how all that works together. Because I'll say it again. There's absolutely no importance and knowing that there's an PNP and NPN transistors and field effect transistors for the basic lesson. It doesn't do anything in your operations of a station at all. At all. I just am saying focus on the ham radio operations, propagations, radio operating, good manners, emergency communications. Bring radio operators in. You want to know field effect transistors? Go to the advanced class. That's where you'll know where all the electronic stuff. We talked about it in the past, and I'm going to go quickly now. When people said, well, you got to repair your ham. Nobody repairs their ham gear unless you already know electronics and you know it before your ham license. Okay? Let's be fair. I know my electronics. I knew it before my ham license. Your ham license doesn't even learn you anything about electronics. So many hams that I know have absolutely no idea of all of that and have their basic license. That's why I'm saying without, you need a test and everything, but you can make it focused on amateur radio operations for the basics. Then the other layers will take care of the more knowledge you need to be more advanced. And of course, have rules, with, and I abide by this. I know that whole hams are going to say, well, no, blah, 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 because that's the way ham radio is. And I'll be very blunt here. Old farts in ham radio that refuse to change the rules are hurting ham radio like you have no idea. And the problem is there. That said, I passed my ham license. I learned stuff where I didn't know any law, didn't have that much knowledge, and I definitely learned stuff. It is more difficult than you think to go to a ham license. And that's where we got to think of the future because, we had an article, we had a thing in the International Radio Report many weeks back talking about the ham radio, the number of hams around the world. Okay. That last time that there was a survey is around the year 2000, which kind of evaluated there were about 2,800,000 hams. Okay. There hasn't been a real survey since. And what we realize is that by estimates, the number of hams is almost 50% down. And of course, ham radio, like a lot of stuff, is as a hobby that's dominated by people that are, older on average. So of course, we're losing hams that died. Yes, the entry level needs to be simpler because today there's a lot of distractions and a lot of things that are kind of pushing people away in many directions. But then again, when people say, well, there's too many things that distract today, there was too many things that distracted us in the 50s. We didn't have to become shortwave listeners or amateur radio operators. We could have been stamp collectors. We could have been so many other things. There were a million hobbies on there. I liked doing it. I went through it, and you already know my way of thinking of what I want to do with it and what I will not do or don't really feel like it's interesting to me. That said, we have to embrace every aspect of the hobby. But if you want to think of its future goes by changing how things goes. How long did it take before Morse code was removed and people just ranted and ranted? I'm sorry. I don't see where you need CW today. Thanks if you know it, if you love it, and I will actually learn it because it's a mode I kind of find interesting. But absolutely, CW prevented so many people from being in a hobby for a long time. And many hams became hams because CW was removed at some point. And it doesn't make them less hams than anybody else. The way amateur radio is and the way amateur radio should be is dictated by the moment in time where amateur radio exists. Amateur radio came into a world of everybody wanted not only to operate, but it was actually something you needed to do to know to fix your stuff and to deal with the electronics in it. But that was in 1950. In 2021, solid state world of Japanese, Chinese, whatever you want, that you just look at a circuit board and nobody wants to touch it. That is showing us the obsolete side of electronics learning in this AM radio world of 2021. Like I said, if you know electronics and you're like, oh, well, I don't agree. You knew electronics before ham, and ham did not actually, you didn't learn anything about electronics in ham course. That's all. So that's my wish, and I know it's not going to happen, and that's why we're going to have a declining ham community in the next 30 years. I'm sorry to be negative about it, but that's, unless it changes, that is going to be a big problem. Because what I've seen in that ham course with all the people discussing is a lot of people that wanted to be hams and would be happy to be hams, would be great amateur radio operators, but it was just way too much. The outside knowledge of the uselessness of a basic test. But I'm happy to be Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India, and I'm here to do the best that I can to help the ham community, and that's it. Second of all, I wanted to talk about this today also. I've got, thanks to ARRL, 2 of these. One of them that I promised to our friend Fastload, Victor Echo 2 Echo Romeo Bravo. The 2022 handbook for radio communications. Now, what this is certainly not a book for shortwave listeners and most basic licensed ham radio operators. It's as simple as that. Even basic radio ham operators in here, apart from maybe a few things about the rules and stuff like that, it's not even for the basic ham operator. This is more of a general handbook. I don't classify this book as a amateur radio book. I classify this book as a radio geek that wants to learn more than just tuning a radio station. If you do want to know how your radio works, how a transceiver works, if you do want to know more about electronics, if you want to learn a lot more about the inner workings and the way that all of the electronics and the radio stuff is done today, this is not just for the radio geek. It could be a shortwave listener's handbook for learning how all of it works, how our antennas work, why you're receiving a signal, what are the modes, what are the, why is it that my radio is capable of doing this or not, propagation of waves, so on. If you're just a listener, but love to learn about electronics and how radios work and everything, the handbook is great for that. Having the basics of, soldering, whatever, this is good for that. So it's not just a ham radio book. It's a geek electronic radio book. So some hams will be zero interested in having this. Some shortwave listeners watching will say, I want to have that book. It is very detailed and very, very good in explanation of everything from, electricity, electronics, basic components, how all of it works. There's building circuits, our radio is built, the different stages of radio receivers, transceivers, antennas, It definitely is the guide for all of that, and it's well done. You don't buy this every year. Last that I had was 2015. This is something that if I would buy it personally, I probably would buy it roughly once every 10 years for the updates of newer technologies, and so on. But it's definitely a very nice handbook to get if you are geek enough to want to know how everything is interconnected and works in radio and electronics and all of that. So 2022 is out. A little expensive, but it is a big buck, and it's definitely a nice guide to have. Depending, like I said, depending on what you want to do with your with your learning experience, and check all of that. Okay. What else do we have? Let's go through here quickly, as we're soon gonna end. I'm starting to get a little tired. What else do we have? Oh yeah, the question I'm asking, I was about to ask at the beginning. How many steps? So how many levels of ham radio license do you have in your country? So here in Canada, we have, like I said at the beginning, the basic and advanced. Basic with honors gives you your HF, that adds like a layer. So we can see there's 3 levels. If you add the Morse code capability with the advanced for all you can do, technically kind of 4 levels, but add the basics, it's 2 levels, basic and advanced. So where you live, how many levels of ham radio operations are there? And if you want to talk about that. Yeah, John Beckham. I remember that. Going to get my 9-volt battery every month. Zach, fun fact about there's a book about history of autism I love called Neurotribes. And one of the chapters talks all about amateur radio enthusiasts. Zach, I was talking with, Sheldon Harvey. We talked about, who we are. I mean, a lot of us are, let's face it, I am weird in my own way. There's some side of this that is definitely, I think, the attraction, especially when you're really, really focused, intense on something like radio, like I am. It's it shows that we have some side of our brain that's definitely, a little weird, and we're in that spectrum. There's a very large spectrum of autism, actually, and we can be. I'm a functional guy in society, but very focused on some stuff like radio that most people were like, "You're crazy," It's like, and I think amateur radio and radio geeks in general, we probably have a spectrum of some of that, honestly. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Chris, G7VEO, what were your questions? So that's what I was saying. The question I wanted to ask everybody is, where you live, how many levels of amateur radio are there if you have to become a ham? And if you want to extend a little more on what privilege it gives you. Like I said here, it's basic, which is 70% mark, at least, VHF, UHF capability. Basic with honors, which what I have, more than 80%. HF capabilities is added. Then advanced gives you the possibility here to modify or build your equipment, which is not permissible in the basic. So in the advanced, you can actually create your own transceiver if you want, and try it on the air. And then there's with Morse code that adds the capability of you could actually become an examiner, and of course, put up. For example, you need to have the advanced license to put up a repeater. You cannot. The basic license cannot. Stuff like that. Danny, Shortwave Radio DX. Nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. Fitch, there should be an easier basic exam for sure. Well, that's what I think also. John Beckham, by passing your ham radio license, it shows that you were both devoted and motivated, coupled with necessary electronics knowledge to obtain your license. Oh, for sure. What else do we have? Dr. Sisov, so easy now to get the license now in the US. You can take it online in many VEs that pass if you pay them. Yeah. Dmitry, another question. We will see you on the ham national television? You should get me see me on a lot of ham stuff eventually for sure. Dr. Sisop, US entry level is novice, but you need to learn 5 words per minute or for a technician, which allows you no code. Owen, here in the UK, the practical elements of the intermediate license have been removed since the COVID pandemic. John Beckham, as great as I want to get some science fair kits, a couple of Archer kits. Wow. MDK2, they don't issue new novice licenses anymore, so technician is the entry level for new hams in the USA. Danny, Shortwave, I avoided long ago because of CW. You're on the spot, Joe. Matt Ivor, with their apparently old novice license holders who have been renewing. When I went to one of my tests, the VE said they had administered technician tests to such hams. John Beckham, I do think that to have a ham license, you should at least know about transistors, capacitors, resistors, ICs. I don't think so, because it doesn't change anything to your operations of a radio. And that's why I think that knowledge is where it should be pushed up to the advanced license, where there you can modify and build your equipment. Since you cannot, since you're not going to repair your equipment pretty mostly, and you won't, I don't see why knowing what a transistor is all about changes anything in operating a ham station. And that's my personal opinion on it. But I don't think that knowledge is necessary. Not knowing what a transistor is about doesn't prevent you from having, and being a good ham on the air and communicating and participating and making sure that more people are amateur operators, and that we continue in the hobby, not just as, operators, but also that if an emergency arrives, we have hams capable of operating. If we, talk about radio propagation and radio communications. Not for the basics, that I'll be clear. Yes, for the advanced and for the other licenses, that's where it all kicks in. But it needs to be easier for the basics. N6RLS got my AM license in 2009 after CW requirement was gone. I agree that tests should be more about operating and less about esoteric electronics knowledge. That's what I think too. And honestly, the other side of this is that with all that knowledge that is everywhere, there are not enough knowledge. There's not enough knowledge in there to actually tell you how to operate your ham station. There are hams that have their license and don't even know how to make a contact and how to go about making a contact. Focus more on operations, frequencies, setting up your station, and operating. That's all a ham radio basic license needs to be. And what, it means to be a ham and how in emergency situations you can save lives. Chris, G7 VEO in the last 2 years in UK with the online exam and removal of practical tests and lockdowns, been a big surge in new amateurs. When we did our show, so there were about 2.7, 2.8 million hams in 2000. The last number that is estimated is that there's about 1.6, 1.7. We lost around the world more than 1 million hams. And where it hurts the most, Japan lost 600,000 hams in 20 years. It's more than 50% of all the hams that Japan had. So it tells you there's something happening. An amazing book, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, John Beckham, the values are different, and today everything's different. Thomas, shall I miss your call sign? Can you repeat it? Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Yogi Me, nice to have you on board from Hong Kong. W7LHT, nice to have you here. So 3, Tech, General, and Extra. Okay. Oh, and what about the World Radio TV Handbook? I don't think, again, not worth getting every year, but maybe every 5 years. The World Radio TV Handbook is a very different book. It's a book for mostly for people in the broadcasting industry, or if you are a person that wants to have all the really precise technical details of what the different broadcasters out there of AM, FM, shortwave, and so on. It's not that it's not a good book, but I think for a shortwave listener, most shortwave listeners, the World Radio TV Handbook is a useless book to have. And it's not because it's not good. It's a great publication for what it is as a reference for broadcasting. But you know what? Don't buy that because, I want to have schedules and know what station's on the air. You go on the internet for that. It's way better and much more up to date also. VD Radio took 8 tests to get amateur extra. 3 CW Novice Technician General Advanced Extra. Year was 1997. Solitary radio listener, nice to have you here. WA9211 SWL in Southern Illinois. Matt, lots of active advanced hams out there. I've yet to personally encounter an active novice, though. What else do we have? Yeah, like Matt says, I got the 2021 last year. I don't intend to really buy the 2022 World Radio TV Handbook. And by the way, it should be available, if not now, anytime soon, because this is the month the new edition's coming out. And yeah, if you want to support them, absolutely, that's for sure. Mad Radio TV DXer. Yes, we are special. What else do we have? Chris, 3 stages: foundation, intermediate, and then full in UK. And 6 RLS, basic with honors. Yep. Yeah, back in the USSR days, Russian hams would build pretty much all of what they needed to be hams. There was not that many, commercially available transceivers basically back then. How many Texans use a Texan? Oh God. MIT Radio. Yep. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Fitch, I made a few videos, but I need to make a full video, like I said. Absolutely. Vince, if I go to that option, should I get an MFJ 1025 or 1026? I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll have to check what they actually do and come back at it, honestly. John Beckham, I see your point on electronics knowledge that you don't need for the basics, but yes for the advance. Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, I get it that it's in there for a long time, because for a long time ham radio was all about also tinkering about your radio and transceiver. For a long time, amateur radio equaled the electronic geek that needs to fiddle with the equipment, which is not the case in 2021. We have commercial radios, and some of us make our own antennas, which I might be doing myself. Some of us buy commercial antennas. But today's radios are unrepairable for the most part, and you won't open it and you won't be changing anything soon. So you don't need to know about the electronics of it. You need to know how to operate it and operate it properly, and know who you are as a ham operator, and what it means to be a good operator, and what it means to be a amateur radio operator that could be helpful in emergency situations, that can help in having more knowledge about radio propagation in general, stuff like that. But that is a radio operator, not an electronics technician. Hunters out of Crafter's Kitchen. In most countries, getting a driver's license and passing the exam doesn't require describing how an internal combustion engine works. Yeah, exactly. You just have to drive and know how to drive on the road. I want the basic license to be that. Know how to operate. You know what a radio's about? Know how to operate. Know your antennas. Know, proper operations, propagation of signals, radio signals, in different frequency ranges and stuff like that. How to be a good operator. How do you make contacts, and how do you make them well? And, in emergency communications, and if needed. And I would focus on that side, because it's always needed. We needed that in 1998 when there was the big ice storm. Hams saved lives here. In a hurricane situation, hams will save lives with communications. Focus on a ham is needed in society, because if something goes bad, you might be the person we rely on for reliable communications. But you don't need to know what a transistor is for that. You need to know how to operate and why you're a ham. Once again, in the basic level. That's all, And I see too many people talking about how, the ham license is so easy. No, it's not. Stop thinking that. It's easy because you already had basic knowledge of stuff like electronics. I could see, and I did see in a test, and the way that things were in the class, that you know what, you're killing the possibility of having a lot of people in with knowledge that's not useful for the the entry level. Let's call it like that. So, solitary radio listener thought about getting a hand license about decade ago. I don't care about that part, but that's just me. I'm an introvert and sort of private person. Yeah, well, honestly, solitary radio listener, a lot of hams are not. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Fast load. We had a quick contact on 2 meters. He's not the kind of guy that's gonna really go on the air and call CQ and in single sideband voice. It's not really what he is. And I think a lot of hams are in that level of ham radio operations, meaning they're shy. They won't necessarily be going on the air. Is kind of a big step, and talking, and let's face it, that's why some digital modes are popular. It's not just, FT8 is not just popular because you can do, because it is partly for that. You can do some amazing worldwide contacts with very low power in a station where, voice requires work a lot more, especially if we don't have that, like those guys in Serbia, that kilowatt station to transmit. So part of the FT8 popularity goes with that. Part of the FT8 is also, you know what? I don't want to talk. I don't want to have people hearing my voice. I want to deal with that. FT8 is exchange of contacts. I'm not talking. I'm not there. It's like me being here live and you guys seeing me on a camera. I mean, how many of you out there would like just, I don't want to be live. I don't want to be on a camera. I don't want to do that. If I'm having to talk to people and people see me, a lot of people would be like, wow, it's like going in front of the class and trying to do that, presentation where you're just like scared and like hell that you're going to be up there. And I think the majority of hams are in that side of the hobby. They're shy, and making a contact is a big deal unless they've done it many times and then they got used to it. Because a lot of that is also getting used to it. And I think, honestly, shortwave listeners and a lot of shortwave listeners and radio listeners in general, why we became and why we were in this hobby is that for a lot of us, we were introverts. I was a introvert pretty much for a big chunk of my life. Some life events, including work, pushed me at the forefront of being a guy that needs to talk to people and do stuff. Changed what I am. But if you would have seen me 20 years ago, 30 years, like 25 years ago, you would not have seen the same guy. I would not be here doing this on camera and talking to you guys on the internet. I would be like, are you nuts? I'm not going to talk in front of people. And I think there's a lot of people that are in that situation. And we talked about it in the past. I remember a few people saying, I'm the kind of guy that's kind of shy and that doesn't want to talk. And so that's why also some digital modes sometimes are kind of, useful, because some people are like, well, I'm not shy to do FT8 and exchange contacts. I'm shy of talking to someone or, stuff like that. The interaction is different because now you're an FT8 is an exchange of contacts. There's no personal info. There's no having to deal with what the hell am I going to say to that guy? I'm talking to somebody in Europe. What did I say? What do you? What's interesting? It's like in reality, you just have to be yourself and be like an everyday guy. It's like and that's why a lot of conversations or contacts go with radio and transceiver and antenna and the weather. That's the common ground of conversation of a human. Things we know about, things that we share, things everybody lived through, weather, you know. Um, so you're not alone in there. I can tell you that going on the air is not something you feel like you want to. Will I start an official ham radio channel? I think I'm going to mix in all of that stuff in here with the shortwave stuff. I think it's going to be better. Catalin, nice to have you here from Germany. Can't sleep. Yep, Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. No, I cannot. If I don't want to blow my loop antennas, I better not touch that. Gilles Ham Radio YouTube channel, VE2ZZI. Who knows? But for now, let's say we're gonna do it on the on this shortwave channel, mix in all the different stuff for sure. So Amazon says the World Radio TV Handbook 2022 will release on December 20th for those that want to get that. So 73 MIT Radio and ESKI5 MIT. Andy Tobin, what is a Yaesu FRG 7700 word these days? I have one that is getting little use. I don't know, look around, but it depends what people want to pay. Hey, Keegan, 73, take care, my friend. What else do we have? Just gonna check out quickly here, not to miss anything. Driver's license is made to drive on the road, not knowing what your car is all about. That's a different thing. That's called a mechanic. John Beckham, just know how to operate your ham transceiver and how much power you are allowed to transmit with Indeed, and you're good to go. Yep. And do it well. No propagation a little bit. Understand the different bands. Understand, the requirements of ham radio. But, Thomas, stuffy old hams made me not want to talk on HF. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not the majority. The majority of hams are probably great people. Most people that I've seen that are hams are great. But there's that chunk of, of hams that are just, stubborn old farts that just think that, you need to almost, do a trip around the world in order to have your ham license, unless you're because if you don't do that, you're it's basically on the same on how hams treat a CB or just a shortwave listener. When they come up to you and they're like they poo-poo the fact that you're just a shortwave listener. Oh, you're a shortwave listener, so you must probably not really know much about anything. I was a shortwave listener only, and before yesterday, I knew a lot more about ham operations than hams and then a lot of hams. A great example that I kind of cringed a little bit. You want to talk about how we have to focus more on the knowledge of what ham radio is. So today's Wednesday, Monday evening, 24 hours before my test, while testing out the C-Crane CC Radio 2E. While I was actually cooking supper, I put it on a ham net that I know is on 2 meters. Just I hadn't been listening to ham net in such a long time. Just wanted to see, who gets in and what they talk about. This ham station comes on the air and says, well, I passed my afternoon trying 40 meters. It was so bad. I kept trying to talk to my friend that was, and his friend was like maybe 20 kilometers away. And, I couldn't even hear him and he could barely hear me. And it's like 40 meters was so bad. And the first thing I thought is, do you actually understand what 40 meters is for? It's not to talk to your friends 20 kilometers away. That's called 2 meters or 70 centimeters. It's not 40 meters. And a guy came up maybe 3 or 4 stations later saying, well, I spent my afternoon on 40 meters and had tons of contacts with Europe. Propagation was great. And I was like, yeah, that's where the knowledge is a fault. And I could see why, because the ham contest that I passed, the ham test and the ham lesson that I went through, doesn't talk enough about all of that aspect of what radio is and all the bands and the propagation. We should focus a little more on it and focus more on how to make a contact beyond just calling CQ and that's it. But I mean, it shows you, and you're just there and you're like, propagation on 40 meters was bad because you can't talk to your friend 20 kilometers away. Okay. I would not even talk to a friend 20 kilometers away on 40 meters because I kind of know that that's not what it's meant for. That's why, you just look at it and you're like, yep. Matt says it's not talking, it's awesome. That's it. And it's all right. It's all right because I know a lot of people are in that, in that side of the ham stuff. And it's okay. Yeah, RJDA Dakota. And like I said in the beginning, when people tell me, well, I learned the electronics and no, you already knew electronics. Come on, guys. When you got your ham license, you had to, do that electronics part. Come on. You already knew about electronics a great deal while going into your test, because that doesn't have you learn anything. The basic course does not have you learn how to fix a radio. I can tell you that. M. Phillips 369. Nice to have you here. Solid Radio listener says, it's hard for me doing my YouTube videos and I don't even get in front of the camera. And you're not alone. Honestly, a lot of people are in that side of things. You're really, sincerely, you're really not alone. It's probably majority of people. When I started YouTube in 2012, there was something kind of hard in making a video and posting it online, because I guess, maybe a part of me was like, well, people are going to say, well, what a crappy video. Or, I think part of it is we're afraid to have the negative stuff. And YouTube is dreadfully, if you want to lower someone's, how should I say it? If you want to make sure that someone feels even worse about, who they are and what they could do, make YouTube videos. You guys have no idea how much shit I have to deal with every single day on the comments section that I actually have to go through. You know, I've had a few people saying, well, you're censoring the. No, I'm not censoring. I'm preventing the crap from getting in. Because here and on the tech channel, which is even worse, dang, if you guys would see the comment, anybody that is, we talk about how social media um, can make some people, especially fragile people, kind of feel bad and go into depression or anything. Man, be a YouTuber and look at the comments you get. I can tell you. You have to learn to deal with that, and not everybody does deal with that. How many people we've seen? Look at Two Hands in a Radio. How many people just cracked under the? Well, you know what? The hell with it. You have to learn to deal with that if you want to do that. And don't feel bad. And remember one thing: an idiot that's treating you like trash is probably the trashiest and most idiot person in the world. Anyways, people that troll, you know what? They're probably people that are alone with very little friends. The only way that they can actually feel good is to troll somebody on the internet because in their personal lives, they're a piece of shit. And they're going to try to make somebody else feel like shit to compensate on what they don't have. And it's often like that. And of course, all the mental cases are all on the internet because you know what? They're in front of a screen where they, have no. They're not in front of you. You're not They would never tell you in your face, "Hey, you're a piece of shit." But I can tell you, behind a screen, they feel so confident and really big man. Hey, man, now I'm going to tell that guy, you're a piece of crap. Yeah. Come and tell it in my face. You're going to see it's a little different. And so, I understand what you go through and how you can feel and how you can, one comment like that can actually make you want to back off a little bit of YouTube videos and say, wow, okay, I've just, I don't know what to do. Or a comment, a misplaced. Some people are not necessarily bad, but they don't know how to express a comment correctly. And the way they're going to actually say it, you're going to feel bad about it or feel like, oh, maybe my knowledge isn't good. On YouTube is YouTube. You just go for it, and don't care about anybody and don't care about what anybody has to say about it. Honestly, if I would care about what people say, I wouldn't be here like, many years ago. Just do it. And don't think about anybody else. Don't think about what people are going to say. Don't even care about the comments that go with it. Post your video, solitary radio listener, and have fun and just be proud that you did a video about something. The rest, who cares? Who cares? Mario the Extra, I don't like talking much in real life, so for me, get a hand license is pointless. Yeah, but it's not just conversation; it's also context. Like we said, FT8, for example, is not a conversation. It's just the coolness of having contacts between two stations from around the world, for example. Stuff like that. What else do we have? Bonne nuit, Christian. Fais attention à toi. Nice to have you on board as usual. When I'm getting that 7300, well, I haven't clicked the buy now yet. Okay, I'm going to start by dealing with my FT450, and maybe I'm going to start to like it if I play a little more with it. Let's start by, before I get a 7300, I need to get some decent antenna up. Then we'll talk about the 7300. It's useless to buy a radio if the antenna is not there. Rush Time Machine, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Always nice to be here. Thank you very much. Take care, Paul. Good night. Oh, no, absolutely. RJDA Dakota. I think a lot of us are in that spectrum of some autism in some form, you know? But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Absolutely. How long did it take to do the test? I didn't really check the time, but I'd say that 45 minutes. Maybe 45 minutes. Two Broke Tim, it's not going to happen because it never did already. It would already have done that if Shortwave was if we had to communicate through the internet, and that would have broken, say, ham radio and stuff like that. It would have already done it, and it never did. It's a different thing. The internet is, and I will repeat it, does not at all make shortwave irrelevant. Does not at all, is not at all the cause of why some aspect of like ham radio or shortwave listening is going away. It has much different causes. Ham radio decline was already in decline before the internet around the world. Shortwave listening was in decline way before the internet. It already tells you the internet has nothing to do with it. And even though, some people will tell you, well, I can talk to my friend via Skype on Australia. Why should I be a ham? We're talking about different things, and that person is not interested in being a ham simply. And honestly, in the 60s, 50s, 70s, how many people were hams or shortwave listeners? It was a small portion, a small chunk of the society in general. All of us, even you guys that are, going back even further away than I am, you will all say the same thing that I said. Is if you've been a listener since 60s, I bet you that not a lot of people around you were doing that. You were pretty much alone, even in the 60s or the 70s doing it. That was just telling us that already there weren't that many people. There was a lot of people listening around the world. There weren't that many people that were actually doing what we do, even 50 years ago. So I don't think the internet has anything to do or will kill the hobby. It's the killing of the hobby is a more complex thing than that. I think a lot of it, even for ham radio, I think a lot of it, I would like to know how many hams left or stopped operating because they came up with a S9 level of signal like I have here, and they said like, well, I can't do this hobby anymore because just have too much noise. Let's do something else or stop. And that's it. Yep, a lot of CBers got into ham, that's for sure. And there are hams that are actually on CB also. That's for sure. Jetcrafter, nice to have you here from Southern Maine. First note today, 2-inch. Cool. Thank you for the congratulations. It is a one. There's one there. This is not a Maono. This is a Shure microphone. But here is a Maono. This one is a Maono mic. Here. But this is a Shure microphone. It's one of the most popular microphones around. Danny Shortwave, I get a bunch of comments held under review. Yep. There's a lot of shit on YouTube, I can tell you that. Audiophile Tubes, CQDX, nice to have you on board, my friend W2DX. Danny Shortwave, to be honest, my crypto channel gets a lot better comments than a radio channel. Yeah, depending on what the comment is and what's the subject, it changes a lot. But you got to focus, any channel that you'll do, you got to focus on the positive comments, which there's a lot of. Honestly, if you start looking at the negative and the positive, and most channel, the positive comments are much more are really much more important. There's way more positiveness than negativeness. But the problem is there's a couple of those negative comments that are real good at just getting you. And that's where we focus, and we have to stop focusing on those ones. Take care, Owen81. Have some good sleep. Danny Shortwave should make a video on just reading 8 comments. You know what? There's this girl that I watch that, what is it? Translate Fails or something like that. It's called on her channel. She sings really well, and she sings popular songs that she translated through Google Translate in like 50 languages before they translated back to English. And she sings whatever it came out. And it's real funny. If you want to have a lot of fun, just go and check it out. I think it's Translate Fails. She's great. Now, one day she decided to Google Translate in 50 different languages her hate comments. It was just amazing. She decided, let's have fun with the hate mail and just go with it and just translate it like 50 times and take what's out. Take care, Zen Pharaohs. It was nice to have you here. Oh, man. Dubious says it's narcissism. It's not personal. They do this everywhere. Yep. 6985 Upper Sideman Parrot. Yeah, I believe that one is from it's from Europe. Joe Brown, be forewarned, getting a ham license will not make you more popular with the ladies. Unless she's a ham. Jeff King, if the ham license was easier, I'd get one. I had the CB license. Don't know much electronics theory. Yeah, Yogi, my QRM eliminator is somewhere in the world, somewhere in the ocean. When I look at the Canada Post tracking, it says, well, we got that registered, but it's not arrived in Canada yet. So it's like, okay, it's sitting somewhere in a boat. And there was an article I was reading this week about how some of the boats that are arriving on the West Coast, for example, have been in the harbor like weeks at a time before they actually get all the stuff taken out of the boat. Chris, G7VEO, the QRM is a problem for radio and electrical appliances, giving the QRM needs legislation and design to reduce interference. You know, that's the problem. That's the problem with, you know what happened? The problem is when we were just like, before the internet, where would you buy stuff? We would buy our stuff at stores that we know who they were and they existed. And most of these stores had stuff that were regulated and had the FCC sticker on it. For this past our, requirements for radio frequency interference and everything. As long as our electronics world was like that, an example, I had to open up my Amiga 500 to put the GoTech drive in it. Man, the shielding in that computer, it's like crazy. It's shielded everywhere. No wonder you turn it on and there's not even a peep of of anything on the computer on the radio. It's super quiet. It's shielded in every way possible. And big companies, buy an HP computer. That HP computer will comply with RFI specifications from the FCC and whatever government agency in the countries, because they're big companies that have to deal with the regulations of everything. And we then came into a world where, hey, I could buy anything from anywhere. Because let's face it, you would not order something from Japan in 1985 or from China or anywhere. You would order it from some known store or retailer. But when we came into a world where, hey, I can buy anything anywhere from any country. And a great example to that is the Baofeng that a lot of people have purchased. Suddenly, you come with, there's no more rules. You can buy that cheap electronic device from China that doesn't meet at all, and it doesn't at all meet the standards of the FCC for RFI. And it doesn't matter because it comes through by mail and nobody ever, nobody looks at it, nobody tests it. It doesn't have to go through a major outlet that has to follow the rules of anything. And that's where things got bad. Because suddenly we started buying stuff that are unregulated. They actually technically are regulated. Because if you look at FCC or any government regulations for electronic devices, in order to sell and buy and for us to buy something on electronic device, it technically has to have gone through a process of checking stuff. An example is I worked in a place where they were actually making lighting systems. Well, we had to send all the new lighting systems for testing, for electrical testing, making sure they're safe, there's no dangers of fire or hazard, whatever, and RFI. And then when it came back, we could put that sticker on the lamp and say, yep, this has been approved by ETL or by, the CSA. And that gave some minimum quality to whatever was out there. But now you buy from China. It's like, yeah, I'm going to buy that $24 thing that does the same thing as the $100 thing that I could see here. That $100 thing is probably approved and reduced in interference that it can cause because it has the regulations. That's why it's $100 maybe, and the electronics are maybe different. But now you get that $24 thing. Oh, it does the same thing, absolutely. But your, S meter went from S4 to S8 when you plugged it in. And there's a lot of other things that also happen with saving money on electronics, removing key parts of electronics circuits that suddenly make your devices super noisy. So it's pretty crazy, Yeah, but you know what, solitary radio listener, what I will say first is do not go on YouTube to be popular or to be anything else than just have fun. Think of your YouTube channel as just being a place where you post the stuff you love. It's there, it's available for everybody. If it gets popular, it gets popular, cool. If it doesn't, have the fun of it, you know? And that's it. Mad Max, there's few videos of people playing a game called Half-Life Google Translate Edition. Remember one thing though, the MFJ thing will not remove the overload of your powerful station. It won't do nothing for that. It actually might even be overloaded by the AM station. 73 John Beckham, always nice to have you on board. Thanks for the congrats. Man. Yeah, because they get in directly. There's no more checking of anything. So a lot of the Chinese stuff get in just because they get in. We are now in a new world of where everything gets in. No more regulations, no more need to follow rules. You want that thing, you got that thing. You know, look at the bail thing. We used to, it wasn't an official rule, but good radio stores were always asking for your license to show your license before you could buy ham gear, because they didn't want anybody to buy it and do whatever they want with it. Come bail thing, it's like, yeah, it comes from China. Who cares? And that thing transmits everywhere. It's like you're asking for trouble. Well, it's coming in because there's no more checking of anything. So it's pretty crazy. So, hey, guys, been on for 3 hours and 30 minutes. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We talked about all sorts of stuff. It was kind of, as usual, a very interesting show. And, different opinions, point of views. And always nice to be here and have you guys around. So it's 10:37 p.m. here. I'm going to take it easy. Maybe have another little vodka and cranberry juice. And do a little more radio, maybe. Check it out. Don't forget, you guys, to check the long wave bands from 480 to 520 kilohertz. We're going to have that as a subject on Saturday, talking about the medium wave stations that send NAVTEX transmission in the the maritime section of medium wave. So this is Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India saying good night to everybody. 7388. And see you Saturday at 20 hours Universal Time for the next radio show. Bye, everybody. Stay safe, okay?